NBC Sports, home of the NASCAR race for the championship. This is the Discover Card Countdown to Green as we get ready to go racing.
The 1 mile New Hampshire International Speedway in Loudon, a flat, narrow, and challenging track for the stars of the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. After 26 races this season, the point race is compelling and competitive. Just 3,993.4 miles remain in the race for the championship, and the team that wins it might need to score a perfect 10. As the Winston Cup Series roars into the middle of September, 10 men find themselves in the middle of the race for the Winston Cup. Now, only 271 points stand between the top spot and the 10th place challenger. And the point leader feels the competition is ready to do some serious damage. Now it's not about racing, it's about winning. And for these 10 teams, a new season begins. Today, the pressure-packed playoffs start anew in New Hampshire.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me double shot of time.
NBC Sports presents NASCAR. Today, it's the New Hampshire 300 for the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Loudon. I'm Bill Weber. Welcome to NASCAR on NBC, where we like to give you traffic and weather together. First, the traffic. 43 cars ready to hit this 1 mile track. The pole sitter is Ryan Newman. He set a new track record in qualifying here on Friday. The weather, rain, and lots of it coming and coming fast. Believe me when I tell you, some of these teams are going to try and win the New Hampshire 150 here this afternoon. The green flag has been pushed up to 1:03 Eastern Time. That's just about half an hour from now. And when they do go racing, there are plenty of stories to follow. Since the current Winston Cup points system was put in place in 1975, we have never seen a championship race this close with 10 races remaining. First place Sterling Marlin leads second place Mark Martin by just 9 points. From first place to sixth place, it's only 146 points. Any one of those 6 drivers could leave here as the point leader after this race is concluded. Sterling Marlin has held the points lead since after the second race of the season. The question is, will he still be holding it after this race? Here's Marty.
Well, Bill, it's not the 82 points that Sterling Marlin lost last week that he's concerned about. It's the soreness from that savage crash. Are those injuries, Sterling, going to hold you back at all today?
I'm still a little sore. Al come work on me real good this morning, done the ultrasound and electric shock, and got heat pads on right now, so feel real good right now. But it's pretty sore Monday and Tuesday, and it's starting to work out of it. But got real sore last night, but right now it seems fine.
And a little extra padding in the seat as well. At 9, his points lead is the smallest it's been all season. Matt Yoakum.
Marty, the top 5 championship challengers without a Winston Cup already on their mantle. Mark Martin has the most experience contending for a title. But, Mark, how has your approach and perspective changed on this title fight?
I don't know. We try to score the most points we can every race, and we just take it race to race. We've already met every hope that we might have had that was realistic for this year, but we find ourselves in the middle of a championship battle. So that's okay. We'll keep going, hope for a good day, and there's 10 races left. And that's a lot of racing, but we would really like to, to put together a string of good luck runs in those last 10 if so we could be a contender. Either way, I'm not going to let it break my heart. I do the very best I can, and my team has done more than a fantastic job this year.
Mark Martin still looking for his first win here near New Hampshire. He rolls off 7th. Dave?
Standing by with Jimmy Johnson, currently running 3rd in the Winston Cup Championship. He can win it. Can you gain on it today? I think there's a good chance, you know, the 6 and the 40 and the 24, and 20's been pretty strong. We've all been around one another, and this race is so long and so many weird things can happen. We don't know what the track's going to do. We don't know how the racing's going to be. It was crazy last time we were here, so we'll just see what happens. I think we had a good shot with Los Monte Carlo, though.
If he doesn't get too crazy, he might pick up his 3rd win of the season. Bill?
Thank you, Dave. There was a story in a local paper here on Saturday that following the Winston Cup race at this track in July, a track safety worker reported to NASCAR that he was hit hard in the left arm by Tony Stewart when Stewart climbed from his car after crashing during the race. We went through all our tapes from that race, and here is the video that we found. Stewart was one of several victims that crashed that day. Part of the contributing problem, the track coming apart in turns 3 and 4. Now, track safety worker Phil Jewett also reported to NASCAR that Tony took a swing at him and hit him hard when he was exiting the car. That was in July. We gave this video to NASCAR earlier today. They reviewed it and restated their original opinion that they do not consider this an issue, that it is over with and closed. Now, from the garage, there is some concern that the bullseye on Tony Stewart seems to be growing. He has apologized for a shoving incident at Indianapolis, saying he was at fault. Another alleged incident following the night race at Bristol could go to a grand jury in about 10 days. Tony is aware it's his temper and his actions that have put him in the target. He is also aware it is up to him to control that temper and those actions. And something else, this brings it to everyone's attention, the leaders of the NASCAR Winston Cup Series, that they are always in the spotlight. Following the meeting today, the drivers' meeting where the public is invited, there was a special closed-door meeting between NASCAR and the drivers. They told them that the drivers are in the spotlight. They should all monitor their behavior as they should at all times. And that in the future, possibly as early as next season, NASCAR will examine the number of people in the garage area and on pit road. Meanwhile, the Tony Stewart story continues, and we'll stay on top of it for you. Tony will start 10th today. A number of drivers shooting for a victory. Jeremy Mayfield of one of them, looking for his first win in 71 races. Kyle Petty starts 13th, his best starting spot in the last 14 races.
Discover Card Countdown to Green on NBC is brought to you by the Discover Card. It pays to discover. By Energizer, do you have the bunny inside? And by Wendy's 99-cent crispy chicken nuggets. It's better here.
When we raced her in July, 10 of the top 12 finishers started 21st or worse, and the top 3 finishers started 30th or worse. This is a very challenging racetrack to get around because it's so flat. How do you get to victory lane here? Well, let's get Wally to do something he's good at, taking everybody for a ride.
Here we are at New Hampshire Speedway in my NBC No Boundaries Ford. New Hampshire is a 1-mile flat oval. It's like 2 drag strips with 2 tight corners on each end. The trick to get around this place, and we say it a lot of these racetracks, is you want your car to work on the bottom, especially here. Let's take a lap and I'll show you what we mean. Here we are coming out of turn 4 in a real long straightaway for a 1-mile oval anyway. Run hard into turn 1 as hard as you can. Get on the brakes hard, but you want to get off the brakes pretty soon too. And you let the car drift up in the middle. You'll hear us talk about diamonding the racetrack. That's what we mean. Bring it back down to the bottom, down the straightaway on the backstretch again. Now, one thing you see a lot of cars have problems with, especially in the July race, was if you get out of this groove, you got about a lane and a half. But if you get up here and get them right sides in the marbles, you're in for a tough situation because that wall's going to bite you. Also, you pick up all that debris on your hot Goodyears, and it takes a long time to get back in line. So if you're going to get to victory lane in New Hampshire Speedway, you got to get your car to work on the bottom.
43 drivers getting ready for a 103 green flag. Jeff Burton has 4 wins at this track to get number 5. He'll have to do it from 22nd. Welcome back to New Hampshire. 101,000 fans expected today for the New Hampshire 300. What's been the most popular topic of conversation in the garage this weekend? All that money in the Powerball lottery. What's been number 2? This track. what could happen here today and what should happen here tomorrow. For more on that, here's Dave.
Bill, racers work hard at getting their cars to grip the track at high speed, but in July, the track surface here in New Hampshire became unstable underneath their cars, and grip was hard to come by.
Oh, lady sideways. Okay, question asked, question answered. Sir. And as soon as you get out of the groove, it's just like hitting ice.
It looks like you have no margin for error.
Oh, now there goes Kurt Busch. He's in Never Never Land. Another one bites dust, same exact thing as everybody else.
Even the best in the business are having trouble handling.
The track is falling completely apart, and it's, I mean, there's nothing but gravel out there.
It's been brutal.
Now, the majority of the problems occurred down in the turn 3 and 4 area. This was all repaved after the May Busch Series race. It was repaved in June. When the problems occurred in the July race, the decision was made not to repave down here, but rather to simply roll the area, to let the asphalt that had been put down in June cure another 2 months and compress with the rolling process. Let's hope it works so these drivers can get a grip today at New Hampshire. Bill?
Dave, what exactly are you riding on there?
This is the Segway Human Transport manufactured just down the road in Manchester, New Hampshire. It's actually very cool, easy to ride, and it may just be the future of pit reporting as we know it.
It just may be how Dave Burns gets home after the races in the future, too. We'll see what happens. Closing in on the green flag, trying to beat the weather here at Loudon, New Hampshire. Here in New Hampshire, the excitement continues to build. Kurt Busch starts 6th. He finished 8th here in July. Robbie Gordon is the defending champion of the New Hampshire 300. He started 31st here in November and won. Today, he starts 29th. Then what about that other Gordon? Here's Matt.
Well, Bill, over the past 10 races here on the Magic Mile, Jeff Gordon has earned the most points, but he's been hit or miss. He has 3 wins here, but over the past 3 races, he's led the most twice, but he didn't lead any laps here in July. He knows this is the type of place he has to make ground on Sterling Marlin and the other point chasers. He has the same race car he could have won here with 1 year ago, and he feels like he has a good shot to win. The car was great and happy. I rose off 21st, same spot he won from in 1995. To Dave Burns.
Well, Tony Stewart has won here before, Matt. He's finished in the top 10. He's finished in the top 5. And if it's any indication, if 1 is worse and 10 is best, Tony starts 10th. He could win again today. Marty?
Well, Dave, the numbers that loom large for Rusty Wallace are 10 and 0. 10 races to go in the season and 0 wins so far this year. Now, Rusty has won a race for 16 consecutive years. If he can win a race this season, that will make it a NASCAR record, 17 straight years that he's won a race. I asked Rusty, is the pressure on to win one of those races? He said, absolutely, because I want to win, and it needs to happen soon. Bill?
Marty, Rusty's teammate Ryan Newman starts on the pole after a record-setting qualifying run here on Friday. This will be his 35th career start in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. This season, he has finished 2nd 4 times. 2nd is good, but Ryan knows 1st is where it's at, and this rookie would like to be a winner at New Hampshire this afternoon. 43 stories all ready to unfold, and we're ready to watch. The countdown's at 0. The New Hampshire 300 is coming up next.
This has been the Discover Card Countdown to Green. Let's go race it.
NBC Sports presents NASCAR. Today, it's the New Hampshire 300 for the Winston Cup Series. The New Hampshire International Speedway is a flat track. It measures just over a mile. It's the 27th race of the season. Now let's join the pre-race ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the start-finish line. We would ask everyone to please stand, and we would ask gentlemen to please remove your hats for our invocation to be followed by the singing of our national anthem. Today's invocation will be given by Father Bill Deschamps of St. John the Baptist Church in Suncook, New Hampshire.
Dear God, creator of the universe, pour out your blessings on our country and all the nations on earth. May there be healing of hearts and minds for those who have suffered the loss of a loved one on this past year. Let our prayers and sacrifice bring an end to terrorism in our country and in the world. Bless and protect our drivers, pit crews, safety crews, and all workers here. Look after all the race fans gathered here today to witness another exciting event in the field of auto racing. May we enjoy every moment of the race and return home safely at the end of the day. And we ask this to our Lord Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you in the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Amen.
Our color guard comes from all branches of the armed services, along with the Concord Fire Department and the New Hampshire State Police. Our national anthem will be performed by Denise Doucette of Milan, New Hampshire.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And the pre-race ceremonies will continue, but as you can tell from the pictures, the umbrellas are out. It has begun to sprinkle here at the New Hampshire International Speedway. The cars are covered, and yes, we are in a holding pattern trying to get ready for the New Hampshire 300. The forecast for later today is very, very grim. Heavy rain is expected, the possibility of thunder showers. But as we speak right now, the sun is trying to break through over turn 1, and hopefully we'll be able to go racing here shortly. When we do, this will be the 27th race of the NASCAR Winston Cup season. After 26 races a year ago, from first to second in the points, 222 points. Today, after 26 races, from first to second in the points, just 9 points. And from first to sixth, just 146 points. Again, any one of those guys in the top 6 in points could leave here as the Winston Cup point leader. If a driver wins the race and leads the points at the end of the day, he will collect the Winston leader bonus. Today, that amount is a record $220,000. And that is more money than the winner's share in 19 of the 26 races so far this season. Here are 3 guys that are going to call the action and would like a part of that action. Alan, Wally, and Benny.
Okay, Bill, get your raincoat out here. We'll hope this stops shortly. You know, the 2 things everybody's been discussing here at New Hampshire all weekend long, the weather and the track surface. We'll wait and see what happens with the weather. How about the track when this thing goes green today, Benny?
Well, Alan, you and I walked down this morning, and we looked at turn 4 where they had all the problems last time, and there appears to be a lot of grip, and it looks like the racetrack is staying together quite well. And as cool as it is, I would expect the racetrack is going to be okay. But we also saw that outside groove, and if the cars get up there, there is not a lot of groove, not a lot of grip up there we saw the cars last year.
I think you're right, BP, and I hope you're right. You know, they roll this racetrack after the July race, and I think with the temperature and everything, it's going to be better. I don't think the track is going to come up. But still, this place, you have to work the bottom of the racetrack, and it's a lot like Bristol. You're nose to tail, and you're going to see guys getting into each other like we saw in July.
And like we saw this race 1 year ago, run Thanksgiving weekend, when Robbie Gordon in the 31 kind of moved the other Gordon out of the way to pick up the win.
That was for the win. Jeff Gordon was leading the race. Robbie Gordon was running in second. Jeff Gordon didn't appreciate that, and he told Robbie Gordon that.
So this is kind of an extended short track is what you're saying. We're going to see some tempers like we see at Bristol and at Richmond and that kind of thing. and some contact racing.
Yeah, and because it's such a tight racetrack, and like I said, you're down on the bottom. Like Benny said, it's almost like a groove and a half, so it gets real tight, and you're going to bounce off each other a little bit here.
While we're waiting on the weather to clear, and we have a couple of minutes, I want to get you guys' opinion on the Tony Stewart story of this week, or non-story, as some people are calling it. This was back in the July race here at New Hampshire. Tony got up into the marbles and hit the outside wall in turn 4. As he was getting unbuckled from his car, the safety workers approached, and when Tony got out of the car, he swiped away the left hand of the EMT who was coming to attend to him. The EMT basically making a statement in a newspaper article in Concord here on Saturday that, was it Saturday or Friday? Saturday, that he was upset at that and was upset that NASCAR didn't do anything about it. Your thoughts on the situation?
Well, number one, I think it was blown out of proportion. I mean, I don't think that SWAT was a blow. I mean, again, but on the other hand, Tony was wrong in doing that. I mean, the guy was just there to help him. And after all, and he comes up and says, okay, you got to go get in the ambulance, you got to go to the care center, and Tony swatted his hand away. Again, I think the story was blown out of proportion, but Tony has got to stop that. Somehow, he's got to get control of his anger.
Yeah, and I agree. It was blown out of proportion, and why is this coming out now? Why didn't it come out right after the race when it happened? You know, the drivers do the safety meeting sometimes, and my deal with the drivers, or the safety meeting all the time, was one of the first thing I said is, if I'm in a wreck and I'm okay, give me room. Do not touch me. Do not get in my space because I'm angry. And I can see where Tony and everybody else that hit the wall, especially with the track of the situation it was really upset. I have never hit anybody, and neither do those other guys that hit the wall, but still, I understand the situation. When you get out of that car, you're very ticked off, and you just don't want anybody touching you or grabbing you. So I've been in that position, so I know what he's going through.
And as far as Tony Stewart is concerned, everyone that he's had a crossword with or an encounter with, it's going to become publicized from here on out. There's a mark there now.
It's under a magnifying glass, but I don't think it's fair for this to come out now. If this happened earlier, it should have come out earlier, but now all of a sudden everybody seems like they want to jump on the bandwagon.
Someone's talking about selling some T-shirts down next week, wearing a T-shirt that says, Tony Stewart didn't hit me. Yeah. And they sell a lot of them.
There's a market there for that, I think.
Yes, there is.
All right, we'll have to talk about that. Sky's getting brighter out the window. That's the good news. The bad news is we are in a rain hold here at New Hampshire International Speedway, hoping to start the New Hampshire 300 shortly.
Welcome back to the New Hampshire International Speedway side of today's running of the New Hampshire 300 for the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. We are in what we hope is a brief hold for weather, just as they were getting prepared to give the command to fire engines. The rain began to fall, still sprinkling ever so lightly, but the sun trying to break through. It is very breezy here, so that will help dry the track along with the jet dryers that NASCAR brings to every event. We have some of the news items from this week that we want to bring you up to date on. First of all, Ricky Rudd was fined $5,000 after a post-race water tossing competition last Saturday night at Richmond. The incident involving Rudd and Yates engine employee Larry Lackey, and it may have been triggered from some radio conversation that went like this.
Stewart, he's 6th, and Newman, he's 5th, and Johnson, he's right behind you.
Yeah, boy, what's happening, I'm having to drive in on them. They've got probably, it looks like 15, 20 points lower gear than I've got. They just rocket off the corner. Like, you can't believe how they rocket off the corner for the first, part of that run. You guys want to run with that group we were chasing a while ago, you got to go to work in the motor room a little bit.
Now, after the race, Rudd will be in the white T-shirt with his back to the camera. He was on the receiving end of a punch from Larry Lackey. Rudd recovered and with pinpoint accuracy heaved a water bottle and struck Lackey in the forehead. Lackey was fined $10,000 by NASCAR and resigned from Robert Yates Racing. Both Lackey and Rudd were placed on probation by NASCAR until December 31st. Right now, Ricky Rudd is standing by with Marty Snyder.
And he sits in the car, Bill, still scarred from that fight. And Ricky, what an interesting last Saturday night for you. Your thoughts after that? I'm sure you've put it behind you to some extent, but your thoughts right now after that?
Well, Marty, let me correct you 1 minute. You called that a fight. I guess if I ran into that guy's fist with my eye, I guess you would call that a fight, but I don't think that's a fair fight. It was a sucker punch, and came out of the blue. It'd be like you sitting here right now and hitting me with this microphone.
I wouldn't do that.
I hope not. I've had enough of that. But, that's... It wasn't like we had problems leading into that race. Things were going pretty good. We had a good run that night. We ended up 7th. Actually should have finished third. We run out of gas on a white flag lap. So that was a total surprise. So I guess I'm just going to be watching over my shoulder a little closer, I guess.
Have you had any discussions with Mr. Lackey as to what set it off? Was it radio traffic earlier in the night or an article earlier in the week?
You know, Marty, I don't really know how to tell you. It's not like we had any warning. I was having a casual conversation with this guy, and it just all of a sudden out of the blue, he sucker punches me. So, you know, I don't know. You know, you got a lot of people working on these race teams. You got a lot of good people. You know, that motor shop, a good example. There's a lot of good people that work in that motor shop. There's probably 100 of them, and out of 100 people, you've got a cross section of society. In cross section of society, you got some people that are violent. You got some people that are calm. And that's what we've got as a cross-section of society, and no warning whatsoever that was coming.
So you have not talked to him, and he's not apologized to you?
Well, yeah, he hadn't apologized. I haven't had an apology from anybody over there. And, again, you know, life goes on. You know, we got more important things to worry about. My eyes healed up pretty good, little shiner to wear all week. But, you know, really, it's doesn't look like there's any permanent problems. And, you know, just lucky that I didn't get my eye knocked out or something.
Let's talk about this place. This is a racetrack where you've won before. You can win today. And you and I were talking earlier in the week, this championship is not over for you either.
Well, it really isn't, Marty. You know, mathematically, it's not at all. Going into Richmond, we had a failure, I guess, a couple of weeks earlier that knocked us back to nearly 400 points behind. And after Richmond, we came out of there 248 behind. So that's a very reachable goal, especially this year, the way no one seems like they want to win this championship. So, you know, we haven't given up on that. Now, mathematically, it's not impossible, but certainly, you know, we've got to perform good. We've got to get back to the level this team is capable of performing week in and week out. I was real encouraged. What I saw at Richmond last week, we ran very well. We just keep that up every week and stay out of wrecks and things and stay out of fist, and we'll be okay.
And it's been done before. Alan Kowicki's great comeback that's been talked about many times. He was further behind and had less races than Ricky Rudd does right here with 10 races to go, Bill.
Thank you, Marty. And that 28 team is in a very unusual situation. In case you are not aware, Ricky Rudd is leaving that team at the end of this season. He will go to the 21 car and drive for the Wood Brothers. Elliott Sadler will replace Rudd at Robert Yates Racing. There have been some exchanges between that team, between driver and between crew and vice versa, ever since it was announced that Elliott Sadler was coming to Robert Yates Racing. They're in a very unique situation. They have a driver that can win in the 28 car, and they still have a chance, as Marty and Ricky talked about, to win the Winston Cup Championship. The strange thing is, if Ricky Rudd does win a race, and there are 10 of them left to go with that team, it's going to surprise a lot of people. One person it will not surprise, though, is his crew chief, Michael McSwain, who told me last week during the race at Richmond this team will get back to victory lane before the season is over and will make a run at the Winston Cup Championship. One of the very interesting stories to follow with 10 races remaining in the Winston Cup season. Another story to follow. Mike Skinner is recovering from first and second degree burns to his face, suffered after what has been described as a very hard crash at Kansas City while he was testing earlier this week. Skinner apparently lost a right front tire, hit the wall very hard. Fire broke out in the car. Skinner did not have his visor fully closed because he was not running a cool box or using a cool suit. He was trying to get some air to his face. It's assumed that's how the fire got to his face, causing those first and second degree burns. Mike Skinner said that is one mistake he will not make again. He feels very good today, hoping he'll be able to go the distance. They do not have a driver standing by, although a team spokesperson said if someone does fall out of the race early, they may ask them to stick around just in case the car gets too hot and Mike is affected by the heat. Also from last Saturday night at Richmond, crew chief Todd Barrier, he's Jeff Green's crew chief, he's been fined $5,000 for an unapproved left front spring that was found in post-race inspection after the race. The infraction also cost the team 25 driver points and 25 owner points. NASCAR said the spring coil windings were not evenly spaced. There was a bulletin put out about that earlier this year. The spacing between the coils must be the same. That was not the case with a 30 car last week. Barrier fined $5,000, the owner and the driver 25 points. Now tomorrow, Talladega Superspeedway in Alabama will begin installing the safer barrier, just like the one we saw at Indianapolis, around selected portions of the inside wall of the track where it is not banked. Work continues on an energy-absorbing barrier that can be used on the outside wall of these high-banked tracks So far, NASCAR has not approved a wall for that on the higher bank tracks. Of course, Indianapolis does have it on the outside wall. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway is considered a flat track by racing standards. The Winston Cup Series races at Talladega on October 6th. The new inside safer barriers are expected to be in place by the time we go to Talladega in early October. Let's go back to the grid and check out the man who won here just about 2 months ago, Ward Burton. He's standing by with Matt.
Well, Bill, over the past 2 New Hampshire races, Ward Burton has seen both ends of the spectrum. A 42nd place finish due to an engine failure here last fall, but the win is what you and all your fans remember. But what about today, Ward? You start 27th, you were 31st here 1 year back in the spring.
Well, the driver made an error qualifying. I was trying a little bit too hard going in turn 3, but car was awesome yesterday. We were top of the board first practice, third, second. Feel real comfortable with it. We're going to have to just race the racetrack today, stay out of trouble, and hopefully be there at the end of the race and have a shot at it.
Now, with this rain, the tracks up here in the north are always weather sensitive, especially in the fall. How do you think this track will change, and will it change?
I think the surface and the area that we can run on is going to be really small to start with. We'll widen it as it goes, but after we get to that maximum there, we're going to have that hot rubber and the marbles and all the stay dry on that edge, and that edge is going to be critical today. It's going to be a little bit smaller racing groove than we saw last time. So you get a little bit in that edge, you can get the gumball in your tires, and off you go. So you're going to have to be smart. Hopefully have nothing that is out of your control that you can't take care of and be there at the end of the race and have a shot at it.
Now, I'll tell you, one secret weapon that Ward Burton has is actually inside his race car, and if my camera guy dog can take a look right over on the roll bar. He's got 4 sticks of juicy fruit gum. He's expecting a long day. It's 1 stick for every 100 laps, but it could be a longer day today, Ward.
That helps me keep focused, Matt.
To Dave.
In the July race here, Elliott Sadler started 38th and finished 10th. Today, he starts 38th. So, Elliott, you must be reasonably confident that 38th starting spot is not a bad deal.
Not a bad deal. That's why we won the race from Bristol. Same car we had here in the spring, just missed it a little bit in qualifying. Well, a little bit, track's pretty slick for us, and we think we got a pretty good race car. Try to use the same pit strategy. Pat and the guys are going to try to help me on pit road a lot, and hopefully have pretty close same results.
We talked about the track obviously already today. What do you think is going to happen based on the racing that has happened here already this weekend and other series and what you've heard?
Well, I hope the track stays together a little bit better than it did the first time. I think this asphalt now in turn 3 and 4 has had a little bit more time to sit. So hopefully it'll be better. You know, we want to race as good as we can here, and it's a tough place to pass as it is. And then if the track's coming up, it makes it that much worse. So I think since it's set up a little bit more time, it'll be a little bit better place. You'll see some better passing, which helps us here starting in the back. So hopefully that'll happen.
And how did you get to the front earlier this year?
Well, we did a little bit of pit strategy, and we stretched these Goodyear Eagles a long ways. I stayed out for 100 and some laps on one set of tires to just try to get track position, and we're actually leading the race with 30 laps to go, and I butchered my right front tire a little bit too much. So we stretched these Goodyears pretty far, so we'll probably try to do that again. Track position means a lot. It seems like every way we've been going here lately. So, I mean, that's going to be the key again today. I think the guy near the front of the field with the best set of tires probably at the end of the show is going to probably have the best shot to win. I just hope we can get it in here today. We've got a lot of fans here today, and hopefully they'll cooperate with us.
Yeah, we're starting to see some brightness up there. Now, the Winston Cup Tour moves to Dover next weekend, and Mike Smith and the rest of the over-the-wall guys are going to get to do something kind of fun. They're going to get to change tires on a C5A transport at Dover Air Force Base. Now, the Air Force guys have to change a tire on the number 21 Motorcraft Ford, which is going to be interesting to see, but where it normally takes them about 15 seconds to make a 4-tire stop here, Mike tells me it's going to take them about an hour and a half to change 1 tire on that C5A. They're going to have some fun. Marty?
Dave, hanging out with Jeff Burton, and we're talking about rain and the lack of a wave these fans are trying to do across the front stretch here. But you were the weather forecaster in Darlington. You said we would get it in the Busch race. I didn't believe you then. Are we going to get it in today?
We're going to get something going, I think. I don't know that we're going to get the whole thing in, but it's I don't know. It's real scattered, you know, and I think we'll at least get something going. We want to get it in today for the fans and all the crew members. I mean, we're in the midst of a really long 20-race schedule, and getting those guys home tonight is real important. So certainly hope we can get it in.
Hate to bring this up, 30 races without a win for you. I know it bothers you when you don't win, but do you focus on that number and wanting to win this year?
I don't focus on the number. We focus race for race, trying to do the best we can every single race. if you start pressing too hard, you get yourself in trouble. We want to be in the Winston. We want to be in, we want to win races. We want to win races as many years as we can, obviously. That's why we do it. We do it to win, and we haven't won this year. So we want to get in the win column, not because we haven't won, but because we want to win. You know what I'm saying? That's what racing's all about. If you don't want to be in it to win, then you're in the wrong sport. I don't do it to go around in circles. I can stay at home and go around in circles, but I go around in circles a lot, by the way. But the reason I compete is because I love to compete. I love the opportunity to race against other people and then see where we stack up, and that's why I do it. So we certainly want to win races.
4 wins for you here, and we've seen some rain here in the last little bit. A, will that affect the track? But B, what's the secret to you winning so many times here?
Well, I don't know how it's going to affect the track. We were just sitting here talking. Since we practiced, we've had a modified race, a Busch North race, and rain. So anybody that says they knows what the track's going to do, I think they're crazy. I think it's a guess. The thing that the track will do, I can tell you this, is it will go back to what it was yesterday morning. The question is, how long will it take, and what is it before it gets to that point? In the spring here, the track was looser when we first started than it was when we were in practice. So that's what I would think would happen with the rain. I think it would be even that much looser. But then what's going to happen is you'll see a big swing to go tight. So if you're really good early, you're going to have to protect yourself not to go too tight late. That's what I think is going to happen.
Well, you should know you won here 4 times.
Well, that doesn't mean anything. This competition is so tough, and all the teams are so good now that the setups that we have in these cars are nothing like they were when we won here. Things have progressed at such a fast rate that it is, what you did here in the past means very little, other than we have won some races, but those trophies don't give you another trophy if you don't earn it. We got to go earn it.
You and I had a long conversation last week about your change at crew chief, bringing on Paul Andrews and Frank Stoddard, your longtime friend, no longer your crew chief. That is something that you told me was the most difficult racing decision you've ever had to make, and for 2 months you were losing sleep over whether or not to make a change.
Well, it has been difficult, and it still is difficult. You don't make a change like that and then make it, and then a week later everything's perfect. I mean, it just isn't. That's not the way it's going to work, and it is a difficult time. At the same time, Paul's come in and done a great job, and the team has really responded to Paul, and it's gone as well as it could go. We threw Paul in under the fire. We took out a great crew chief in Frank, who's done us a hell of a nice job for a long time, and in a matter of an afternoon, we had another guy in there trying to call a race on that weekend. I mean, that's just way too much to ask of anybody. So there's been some positives and there's been some negatives. Paul's done everything we asked him to do, and he's done a great job. It's just very, very difficult circumstance for him to jump into. But the great thing is we're building for next year. We're not writing this year off by any means, but this is the first time that NASCAR has ever given us our rules for next year this early in the deal. So tomorrow we start building our first downforce car for 2003, and so in an effort to get ready for 2003, that's why things got progressed a lot, and then Paul's availability is why it got progressed, obviously. But it's amazing we can start building cars in September for 2003. We've never been able to do that before, so that's an exciting deal.
Might get Christmas off. Who knows? Bill?
Thank you, Marty. And I'm here on the wagon with a great crew chief who's done a hell of a job, Frank Stoddard. And those words from Jeff Burton, very complimentary.
In the past, I did that. Obviously not well enough this year, right?
What happened?
Well, I mean, the bottom line is there's a lot of pressure from everybody, sponsors and the media, and pressure on yourselves to win races and lead laps. And Jeff didn't feel we'd done a good enough job doing that, and I'd have to agree with him. I'm certainly disappointed that we didn't win more races this year, or didn't win any races this year. He felt like he needed to make a change for himself and for where he wanted to go in the future, and that's his choice.
You can't change the whole team sometimes. Just like baseball, you can't fire all the players. You got to get rid of the manager, and we see that a lot in Winston Cup racing.
Unfortunately, you see that a lot in pro sports, actually. I mean, you look at football, and other than college football, because the coach ends up being a huge recruiter a lot of the times. But in any professional sport, when the team doesn't win, generally somebody's going to take a fall, and it's going to be the leader.
Why weren't you winning, Frank? I mean, obviously, if you knew the answer to that, you would have won, but...
really, I mean, I'm disappointed with the call and the change, because I thought we had really run well. We were leading Michigan and had a mechanical failure in the engine. We made a pass on Bill Elliott, who ended up winning the race at Pocono. Passed him to go into second, and hopefully would have gone by Sterling. as Bill did, and we cut a left rear tire. So, really, I told Robbie Loomis the other day, we could have had 2 wins real easily before the 24 won a race this year. That says a lot, I think.
What's in your crystal ball for you?
I don't know. I've got really a lot of support and a lot of people that have called, and a lot of interest out there. So I'm really just kind of sitting back and seeing what else comes available in the next month or so, and hopefully by the 1st November, maybe sooner, I might say what I'm going to do, but probably will make a firm decision in late October, early November.
Okay, you've got a scanner and a headset. Are you working with somebody, or are you just eavesdropping on everybody?
I've got 16 channels on there, and they're all full. So I'm going to listen to a lot of people. I'm interested, I don't get a lot of time to listen to how everybody else will call a race and stuff, so I'm certainly going to listen to some prospective drivers and crew chiefs and team owners out there and pay attention to how they do and see whether I'll fit into that program real well or not.
Okay, well, I know you're kind of on the sidelines right now. We have a little gift for you. It is an NBC Sports golf towel.
Isn't that perfect?
So hopefully you can use that, but only for a couple of weeks because we want to see you back in the garage.
And then I have to give it back?
No, you can keep the towel.
Okay.
If you get it, that's for you to use now, and it's a prize to keep when you get your new job.
All right, I'll give this. I'll let Alan use this on occasions because he's usually off in the weeds and having to clean his clubs off more than I do.
See, now you started something. He's got 300 laps to get back at you.
Isn't that difficult?
Best of luck to you. Thanks for coming up.
Thank you.
Frank Stoddard, former crew chief for Jeff Burton. We're waiting for the green flag, waiting for the sun to come out here in New Hampshire. Welcome back to the New Hampshire International Speedway. We're in a temporary hold for some sprinkles that fell about 1 o'clock Eastern Time, getting ready for the New Hampshire 300 for the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. As many of you know, this was the race that was postponed 1 year ago, moved from this date to November because of the terrorist attacks on this country on September 11th. That atmosphere has been very prevalent here throughout the weekend. In fact, back in the Winston Cup garage this morning and throughout the weekend was this banner signed by many of the drivers we'll never forget. And there are T-shirts around the racetrack, several teams wearing T-shirts as well, commemorating the date and remembering that this is where they would have been on that weekend if it hadn't been for the attacks on this country, and never forgetting the victims of those attacks in New York City and Washington, and of course the terrible plane crash in Pennsylvania. Now next week at Dover, we're also expecting to see many memorials and a salute to the victims when we race at Dover next Sunday. Several teams ran paint schemes last week. Several have adorned their cars with American flags this week. One that is very evident is the 29 car of Kevin Harvick, and Matt Yoakum is standing by there.
And Bill, you mentioned the paint scheme. Kevin Harvick certainly racing for a special reason this weekend, and all of your sponsors pitched in to help make that special paint scheme.
Yeah, we have a flag on the hood and a flag all the way down the side that GM Goodwrench took their name off the hood and off the quarter panels to make it all happen. And Sonic and Snap-on also moved their names when they saw that their name were covering up the flag. So we're real proud of our sponsors and just happy to be here in New Hampshire with the sun out. And you know what? What else would we rather be doing on a Sunday than waiting in the rain?
You know, and the paint scheme isn't just the only thing. I mean, you're going to try to donate a lot of money, hopefully by day's end.
Yeah, we're going to take all the winnings for myself and Richard that we win this weekend. Anything that I win or the car wins is going to the 9/11 Relief Fund, and they're going to make a couple thousand die casts that GM Goodwrench is going to give up all the royalties and everything on and donate that to the 9/11 Relief Fund. So it's really cool for us to just be a part of it, and really proud to have a sponsor like Goodwrench that'll take their name off the car and donate to something that really means something. And, you know, we're out here having fun on Sunday afternoons and having a good time, and the reality of life doesn't really affect us until something like that comes along, and you realize what we're doing out here is just we're pretty fortunate to be what we're doing. So pretty cool, and I appreciate all the sponsors moving their names to respect the American flag.
Now to make that check the biggest, you've got a long way to go to get to victory lane, starting all the way back in 32nd. But the last time you did win, you started in 32nd at Chicago.
I'm strictly here for your entertainment. You know, it doesn't matter.
It wouldn't be a rainfill if we weren't together.
I know. I mean, you know.
Lester and Earl, Butch and Sundance.
Last time I got in trouble because somebody thought I threw my cat. And I get in trouble around you, Yoakum. I mean, I'm just getting to the point where I'm out of trouble, and here you come trying to stir up something else. But
you're saying I'm an instigator?
Well, a little bit. I think that might come with this little thing right here. You got to be an instigator, and that, you know, the TV cameras and things like that. But
I just come by and I just ask you questions. I throw the ball up and I let you swing at it.
Yeah, most of the time I miss.
I don't know. You hit some pretty good home runs.
Well, I mean, I like to tell it how it is, but
oh, come on, seriously?
I'm getting a lot better at just, you know, relating to things that I need to say and things that I don't need to say. Gil keeps me straight. If I'm saying something I don't need to be saying, Gil keeps me going in the right direction. But I want to say hi to Delena's dad, John Paul. He's getting ready to go in and have surgery Monday. So
great short tracker himself.
Great short tracker. He still wants to race, but I don't know that Joyce is going to let that happen.
You know, we talk so much about how NASCAR racing, the support that we have from the fans, and how it's just bloomed over the past few years because of so many fans coming to the races. But are we at a point now when you go in the garage area where it's tough for you to do your job just trying to go from the transporter to the car?
Well, I mean, the fans are the reason that we're here. But it is hard for the guys to roll the car around without running into somebody, or at some point I think it might become a little bit dangerous, and not only for the guys working on the car, it becomes dangerous for the fans. So NASCAR will mediate that and find a happy medium of where we need to be. And, you know, we need to stick behind Tony Stewart and the things that he's doing. I think the last one that accused him of something showed a lot of proof that there wasn't anything to stand on there. So, you know, Tony's trying as hard as he can to make everything as good as he can with the fans and for himself. And I think as long as the man's trying to do what he needs to do, just leave him alone and let him try to do the things that he needs to do and just lay off of him a little bit, because we just don't need it to be a free-for-all coming from all directions. But we appreciate all the fans. We just got to make sure that it's safe for everybody in the garage, and NASCAR will make sure that happens.
Now, let's say you swapped positions with Mike Helton for a day and you were the big man. What would you do?
I don't want Mike Helton's job, I can tell you that much.
None of us do.
Man, I mean, he gets it from the fans' angles, he gets it from the drivers, the teams, the owners, the sponsors, Mr. France. I mean, there's a lot of heat coming from all that. I thought I had a lot of different things coming at me, but
he handles a ton of stuff, doesn't he?
I don't know how he keeps track of it all, but they've got a lot of good people to help him out, and Mike does a good job, and we stand behind anything that Mike does and support him. So, you know, I don't know what to do. I mean, I think the biggest thing to do is.
By the way, will that help you keep you off probation? Maybe those nice comments.
No,
are you working something politically here?
I'm in trouble as it is. I'm always in trouble, so I just got to make sure I don't get myself into too much trouble. But man, that's loud, Yoakum.
That's a jet dryer going by, drying off the front stretch, and since it's going by us right now, Dave.
Is that like what you use in the morning? Dry that mop. I don't have that problem. I don't have any hair, so you don't.
I know it's. Oh my goodness! You better put that hat back on. On that note, let's go to Dave Burns, who has a lot more hair.
Thank you, Matt. I do, and so do the guys in the 32 team. I'm standing right behind their pit box here. The guys in Staten Island, New York, from Tower Ladder 79 are watching the race today, and they've all got on Tide T-shirts. At least you guys better have your T-shirts on, because they sent T-shirts to the guys here on the Tide team to wear for a show of solidarity today and in honor of the folks who perished on 9/11. Ricky, how did this all come about? Your guys wearing the Tower Ladder 79 T-shirts and those guys wearing the Tide T-shirts. What happened?
Well, first of all, I want to say hi to the gang with the Tower Ladder 79. And they befriended the Tide team. They got a hold of Jeff Cheatham. They had asked for some pit passes for Pocono. There is a friend of a friend, and Adam Mazey's a friend of Jeff Robertson's, who's a close friend of mine, and that's actually how it all began. But over the course of time, we got together, and they got some Tide Racing T-shirts. We got some shirts from Tower Ladder 79, and you know, a lot of people look up to us race car drivers and what we do, but the real heroes are the people that were there that day, the same people that helped defend the country and fight fires, and the police officers. And I think we all have a better perspective on that now, and just want everybody out there to know how much I appreciate what they're doing and what they've done.
All right, well, it obviously has had a positive impact on you, as you've just stated. Let's talk racing. We're going to get there and we hope in just a few minutes. We see the light out there. You qualified 8th, so your car must be pretty good.
It is good. This is the car that we won with last October. Now, that may not mean much to the rest of the world, but in a business where it's all up here, it really means a lot to us. That's a good car. The Tide Ford ran good in yesterday's morning practice. We experimented a little bit, and you caught us doing it and got after us yesterday afternoon during happy hour, but we went back to where we began, and I feel good about our chances here today.
All right, well, hopefully you guys in Staten Island, New York will get a chance to see this guy lead a few laps today, maybe even win the thing. And in honor of you guys, these T-shirts are here today, and we'll send them back to you when the guys are done. Marty?
Well, Dave, while we're on the roll of talking about 9/11, Bobby Labonte had a life-changing event last year, and you went to Ground Zero about a month after, took your own plane up there, had a police officer escort you around. How did that change your life, Bobby?
Well, I mean, it's very dramatic. And Jeff Burton, myself, and Jimmy Maycar went up there. And you're right, about a month afterwards, I mean, obviously, I really didn't want to go to Ground Zero. We just wanted to go to the precincts and the fire stations, talk to those people there, encourage them, let them know that we're supporting them, and tell them that they're our heroes. You know, we're not heroes at all compared to what those guys have done. And they took us to Ground Zero at the last part of the day, and it was just very traumatic of what you thought you saw on TV to what was really there. I mean, obviously it wasn't what you thought it was, and very understanding how big of a deal that really was. When you watch on TV, you get some idea, but when you get there in person, it's just totally different.
Did that change your perspective about what happened in New York?
Well, yeah, in a way it did. I mean, obviously we, you see a lot of things happen there, and we've been there a few times celebrating stuff and enjoying ourselves. But that day there, I mean, it was different because we went through the tunnel to get into the city, and there was no horns blowing. There was just total quiet, nobody yelling at nobody to get in and out of the parking lot or parking spot, stuff like that. It was like, wow, this is really cool how this changed all that, and for the first month, I guess, anyway. And I mean, it was just very. We drove in there, and the first thing I thought of was I hear no horns blowing. And I mean something like that. I mean, it obviously changes everybody's attitude right there.
Next week, you will run a car honoring the Todd Beamer Foundation. Why that foundation, and how did you guys come up with that?
Well, a lot of the guys at the shop, they looked at some ideas of how to do things, and the Todd Beamer Foundation came to mind, and Dave Alpern and everybody there, they came up with that idea, and it's a great foundation. As everybody probably knows by now, Todd was the one on the Flight 93 through Pennsylvania that they rallied back and took that plane down. They lost their lives in that flight, but they also saved many more. So it's just a great honor for us to have Lisa there next week and to honor the Todd Beamer Foundation. And kind of like what Kevin and Goodwrench are doing, we're doing the same thing with collectibles that we've got. Everything that all the sponsors with Action Performance and everybody has in mind, and all the royalties that we would have made all goes to the Todd Beamer Foundation.
All right, and his motto is obviously "Let's roll." I say let's roll today and get this race in. What do you think, Bobby?
Let's roll today over tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. All right, good point. Let's get this thing in today, Bill.
Okay, Marty, thanks a lot. Just one quick note about Bobby Labonte's car for next week's race at Dover. It is really a good-looking race car. They had it in the shop up there. We went up and did a piece on Joe Gibbs Racing a few weeks ago. It's a very sharp-looking race car, and it will be a strong tribute to the heroes of September 11th. And for those of us that were directly affected either by being in the area, living there, or growing up. I grew up in New Jersey, on the Jersey Shore, 12 miles from the tip of Manhattan if you're a real good swimmer. And just what these teams have done and the fans that have supported all the victims and the heroes of September 11th has been very reassuring and very stirring since the attacks on this country just over a year ago. Nothing was more stirring, though, than what we saw last week at Richmond. For the 102,000 fans, you that participated in the salute to our country at Richmond, we want to thank you and congratulate you on a job well done last Saturday night at Richmond.
NASCAR on NBC, live from Loudon, New Hampshire, where the New Hampshire 300 is under a red flag. Actually, it hadn't even started yet because of rain. Rain came down just moments before the start of the race was scheduled. It has stopped now. They're working on drying the track. In fact, they're making some good progress, but we still have the cars covered up, and we're a little bit away from the potential green flag in this afternoon's event. Wally, this is the worst time of a weekend for a driver. Waiting.
Yes, waiting. A lot of waiting. You got to wait.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you know, you get all worked up and you get ready to go, and it's happened to us a couple times this year. I mean, you're basically getting strapped inside the race car, and it starts to rain. So everybody wants to get it in.
And as far as this racetrack is concerned, there's been so much discussion about the surface over the past couple of days coming into the race, and of course what happened in July that we talked about at the top of the show. Part of the discussions I was hearing around the garage is people wanting to know if the track owner, Bob Baer, should redesign the place, bulldoze the corners, and start again.
Well, I think you'll probably get a lot of different opinions. I think no. I think this is a great racetrack. I like the flat racetracks. A lot of guys in there like the flat racetracks, and it's just a matter of keeping the racetrack down. If the track wouldn't come up and we didn't have the problem that we had earlier this year, it'd be a great racetrack, and we've had some good races on it. So I think the biggest thing is getting the asphalt right and giving it enough time to cure, and I think that's the answer.
Rusty Wallace was the one who came out with the quote that said he should bulldoze the place and redesign it. And the track owner does plan at the conclusion of this weekend's action to tear up the pavement in the corners, bring in some experts, and do it again, and then just let it sit till the race next July.
And I think that is the answer. I think they paved the racetrack too quick. I mean, it was only a month and a half before before the July race. I don't know anything about asphalt, but I know more than that you've got to let the track cure, especially in the summertime when it's hot. This kind of temperature, I think, will help the track cure faster. So I got my fingers crossed, but I think the track will be in better shape today for this race because of temperatures, and it had more time to cure.
There's something we didn't get to do because of the shortened time before the green flag. I know you're all waiting and wondering at home, who won the Golden Benny this week?
Well, last week at Richmond, Virginia, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s weekend started fantastic. He qualified on the pole for the Busch Series race on Friday night, led the most laps, won the race. And in a car very similar to the one he used on Saturday night. So you feel he's got to be the favorite. Started 24th, was working his way forward, and then his night kind of went flat. Dale Earnhardt Jr. slowing down. Yes, he is. Turn 3. Coming in the pits.
Flat right front tire for Junior. Very disappointing. His car was good. He said the track had been coming to him. This is going to put him laps down early on.
In 24th place, and he's trying to get up there and get in position to get his lap back. A lot of guys got trapped a lap down. Junior was one of them. Now he's back on the tail end of the lead lap. Dale Earnhardt Jr. came all the way back from a lap down to 4th.
That's phenomenal. I mean, that 8 car at the end of the race was by far the fastest car out there. Great news here at New Hampshire. The drivers have been called to the cars, but Matt, I'm in the booth. Somebody's got to give the Golden Benny to Tony Uri Sr. Will you do it for me?
BP, it's my honor. I feel like I'm at the Academy Awards. Tony Uri Sr., congratulations. You have now won the prestigious, the legendary Golden Benny.
Hey, great. We worked hard to get this, I guess, Benny, but we got 2 laps down last week. The crew stuck together. Dale Jr. done a heck of a job, and we got back to 4th there with a few people running out of fuel there and having a little problems at the end, but we were coming. It was just running out of time, so they helped us out a little bit. So we appreciate it, Benny. Thank you.
Hey, Benny, one quick thing. Tony Uri Jr., he had something he wanted to say to you. What happened last year about this time?
Yeah, about this time last year, Benny, we come up with the Wilson volleyball deal. So me and the guys have decided that we're going to take this trophy, we're going to keep it, we're going to tie Golden Benny to the roll cage next week at Dover for our 1-year anniversary and see if it'll turn us around.
No. You can't keep, Matt, tell me you can't keep the trophy.
You're not allowed to keep the trophy.
No.
We're going to keep this one. This is ours. It's done.
What am I going to do for the next guys?
Benny, you have a credit card? Maybe we can buy you another one?
Man, Matt, you got to tell me you got to have my trophy back.
We got to take it back, Senior. We got to have it back.
That'd be great. They've just called the drivers to their cars. We're going to see the New Hampshire 300 starting shortly here on NBC. Glad you've stuck with us. Once we get things done here in New Hampshire today, it's on to the Monster Mile in Dover, Delaware. Coverage begins Friday on TNT. Bud Pole qualifying 2 Eastern. The NASCAR Busch Series race on Saturday. And then the NASCAR Winston Cup Series 400-miler next Sunday, 12:30 Eastern, as the race for the championship continues.
Drivers are getting buckled in. Let's check down on the grid now. Here's Marty.
Jeff Gordon getting buckled in, attaching his water hose to ensure that he can get some refreshment during the day. 3-time winner here at New Hampshire, but you haven't won here since 1998, and that's forever ago in Winston Cup racing, Jeff.
Yeah, you know, we just found a few things back in the mid-90s that we really hit on here. We were real successful. And, I don't know, the last time that we started 21st here was we won the first race here, so let's hope this is an omen. And car felt great. You know, we're looking forward to the day and getting up through the field, but we got a work cut out for us and tough place to pass, so we'll see if we can get some track position.
He stole my tagline. He's not supposed to do that. Last time he did start 21st, he won here. That's good news for Jeff Gordon. Dave Burns.
Marty, when they called the drivers to their cars, DJ was already here. He's been patiently waiting. And DJ, you started 33rd in July, finished 3rd. You start 23rd today. Can you make it through the pack again?
Well, it takes a lot of good things to happen. We have to have good pit strategy, and hopefully we've made our car a little bit better. We made a couple of adjustments from yesterday's practice. We were decent. We just didn't have the speed to go with the longevity. Hopefully we've been able to increase that a little bit, and we'll have a good run.
All right, his guys have pulled all the different things that cover up the car to keep it dry during the rain delay off of the car, and DJ is ready to go. Alan?
You know how I can tell it's not raining well?
How, Alan?
It doesn't have anything to do with the weather, Rock, this time. Look at the top of Benny's head. It's dry. Benny's out of the Team Caliber 360 Racer out on the roof, BP.
All right, Julie, let's take the cover off the car so I can show the fans. Okay, thank you very much. These guys today will be making some adjustments on the chassis. They'll be making a rear sway bar, panhard bar adjustment. In the rear, through the rear windshield, they make an adjustment here. That's the left rear spring, right rear spring. Here is where they adjust the panhard bar, the rear sway bar. And by moving that up and down, let's see if we can turn this car over a little bit and show you the panhard bar. Here it is. And by moving this up or down, if they move it up, they kind of loosen the car up just a little bit. If they move it down, they tighten it up a little bit. But they do it through the rear window because it'd be too difficult for some guy to try to crawl under the car and do it. You know, necessity is always a great invention, Alan.
Yeah, and Benny, as much as track conditions have changed, like we heard, who was it, Jeff Burton saying a couple of minutes ago, they'll be making a lot of adjustments on those cars in and out of pit stops during the race.
I think they will, Alan. And again, to make them fast as possible, they got to go through their rear window. They don't have time to raise the hood and try to make the adjustments up there. It just simply takes too long to raise the hood. So that's why all the holes are in the rear windows.
Okay, BP. 2.5 minutes to the command to start engines.
Yahoo!
Isn't that great? Now, the weather is still threatening. And this is going to be an interesting one on the crew chiefs because they're going to be trying to figure out whether they're racing to the New Hampshire 150, the New Hampshire 178, or the New Hampshire 300 like it's scheduled.
I think you're right, Alan. There's going to be a lot of watching that radar screen. There's probably a few pilots out there that are a few miles away from the racetrack, too, getting back to the team, telling them where the rain's at, because you're right.
Yeah.
It looks like once this storm gets here, it's strategy again.
If you're new to NASCAR, the rule is that once the leader has completed half the advertised distance of the race, which in this case is 300 laps, then if the race cannot be restarted for whatever reason after that, it is considered an official race. Rain and darkness would be a reason why it couldn't be restarted. So if they get to the half advertised distance point, 150 laps today, then any time after that, if the weather unloads, it could be curtains.
It's official.
So that'll keep the crew chiefs on pins and needles throughout the afternoon. 91,000 plus here today, all waiting. Spotters are in their place. Drivers are buckled in. Crews down on pit road, taking the covers off the cars and their equipment and checking everything out, getting ready to go.
Now the racetrack will be a little bit slippery this morning because of that rain this morning. It washed a little bit of the rubber off, so it's what we call a green racetrack, which means it's just a fresh racetrack. So the first few laps are going to be, guys are going to have to be real careful because you start your tires down low pressures here anyway. The tires are great here. After about 20 laps, you start running your quickest laps here at Loudon on these tires. But they try to get the pressures down as much as possible for that buildup. And it's slippery here when you're on low pressures, and there's no rubber on the racetrack to help grip those tires at the start.
BP, we just had a look at Sterling Marlin's car. You're a former Winston Cup champion. You've been in one of these tight fights for the championship before. What are these guys thinking with so many so close together, 10 races to go in the season?
You know, Sterling and his guys, they're so laid back, it's unbelievable. It just doesn't seem like that the pressure is bothering them at all. I'm amazed by every week they have the same demeanor that they had the week before. But as this thing wears down, as we get down to 4 or 5 races to go, if we're in the same situation, Sterling has a 9-point lead, it'll be a different story, I would think.
One of the closest championship races in history, playing today on a track whose condition is unknown and weather conditions are iffy. Ooh, it's going to be fun. Let's go trackside for the command to start engines.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. Now please direct your attention to pit road and our Grand Marshal, Bobby Allison.
For you great New England fans, gentlemen, start your engines.
Behind its scheduled time for starting engines, but they're cranked up here at New Hampshire International Speedway. NASCAR on NBC gets the green flag next. Back in New Hampshire International Speedway, cars are on the track, making their parade and pace laps before the start of today's New Hampshire 300.
65!
Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR, is proud to sponsor the Bud Pole Award, given to the fastest qualifier at each NASCAR Winston Cup race. Ryan Newman set a new track record in picking up his 3rd Bud Pole of the season on Friday afternoon. Anheuser-Busch is awarded more than $7 million as title sponsor of NASCAR's Pole Award program. Here's the Walmart starting grid for today's New Hampshire 300. Alongside Ryan Newman on the front row, Johnny Benson, his best start since Las Vegas, March 2001.
In row 2 on the inside, Bobby Labonte, his best start in 2002. And Greg Biffle, his 3rd Winston Cup race, is on the outside.
Mike Skinner talked about the hard testing crash in the burns he suffered in Kansas earlier this week. He's in row 3 with Kurt Busch.
Mark Martin, contender for the points championship in the inside of row 4. Ricky Craven, local boy on the outside.
Jeremy Mayfield and Tony Stewart. In the 5th row, Tony, 4 top 5s in his first 6 New Hampshire starts.
Andretti and Jerry Nadeau, couple of Petty Enterprises Dodges in row 6.
Yeah, they qualified back-to-back to back with Kyle Petty, who's inside of row number 7. Michael Waltrip alongside there.
On the inside of row 8, Rusty Wallace. He won here, was the first winner at New Hampshire. Kenny Schrader on the outside.
Matt Kenseth probably should have won the July race here, had a flat tire with 9 laps to go. He's going to come from row 9 today with Ricky Rudd.
And in row 10, Jimmy Johnson has been so great in 2002, and Bill Elliott, a couple of victories this year.
Here's the Dominators row for this racetrack. Jeff and Jeff. Gordon, 3 New Hampshire wins. Burton, 4 New Hampshire wins.
And in row 12, another winner. Dale Jarrett won this race in 2001. Sterling Marlin leading that points championship on the outside.
Dave Blaney from Ohio in the 13th row. Kevin LePage from Vermont substituting for the injured Derek Cope in that 37 car.
Ward Burton, he talked about overdriving in qualifying, was very, very fast in all the practice sessions. Jimmy Spencer on the outside of row 14.
Robbie Gordon, the defending winner of this race, going to come from row 15 today. He started 31st when he won in November of last year. And Kenny Wallace alongside him.
Terry Labonte in row 16 alongside Kevin Harvick, who had a lot of confidence about his car today.
Jeff Green, career best finish, Winston Cup-wise, here in New Hampshire in July. He's with Joe Nemechek, who's got a new crew chief this week.
And in row 18 on the inside, Todd Bodine had a 5th place last week at Richmond, his best of the season. Casey Atwood on the outside.
Junior's got to come from a long way back if he's going to win this thing today. Starts in provisional land, row 19 with Elliott Sadler.
And Steve Park in row 20 has won 5 times in New Hampshire. Busch modified. On the outside, Mike Wallace.
Brett Bodine changed an engine after one let go in yesterday's final practice. He'll drop to the back. Well, sort of. He's only got to move back behind Morgan Shepherd. And also, Steve Park will go to the back. He's in a backup car after a crash during qualifying. Only one driver failed to make the field this week. It's Carl Long. Final stories from pit road, Matt.
Alan, you could hear the confidence in Warburton's voice, and you can see the confidence on his team's faces. They know that, yes, they're starting in the back in 27th. They won from 31st back in July, but they also feel like this car, which they raced at Richmond, is very good. They turned it around. In fact, that's why it still has the flames on it. The car wasn't supposed to have the flames, but he knows he's got a lot of track position to make up. He's trying to do something today that nobody's ever done here in New Hampshire. Sweep both races on the Magic Mile in the same season, Dave.
2000 Winston Cup champion Bobby Labonte only had one top 10 in his first 7 starts here. That was a 10th place in 1993, but since then, it's been good. He's had 6 top 10s, including 3 top 5s. Still looking for his first win. Bobby also has finished every single race here he started, so it could be a good day for him. Marty?
Dave, it could also be a good day for Greg Biffle. This is his 3rd Winston Cup race. March of 2001, Kevin Harvick started his 3rd Winston Cup race and won, the fastest anyone ever has won a Winston Cup race. The car is very good, and if he stays patient, he may equal that record. Bill Weber.
Marty, Johnny Benson starts second, career start number 219. Last week before career start number 218, crew chief James Ince told me, this is a great car, we could win tonight. Well, at Richmond last Saturday night, they finished 35th after they wrecked. Here on Friday, he told me this is the sister car to that car. This car is even better. Maybe Johnny Benson's first Winston Cup win comes today in New Hampshire. Alan?
Benson alongside Ryan Newman on the front row as they bring the field through turn 4, that spot that was so controversial in the July race here. We'll see how it fares over 300 laps today. 317.4 miles the race distance, 300 circuits around, 91,000 plus come to their feet. And an hour late, we are glad to see the green flag in the New Hampshire 300. Skinner poking the nose under 3 wide.
And Skinner lost the momentum when he had to jump off the throttle to avoid making contact with those guys. Now he's driving in, and Biffle goes in the corner too hard, slips up the racetrack. They're 3 wide on 4. 2 wide.
2.5 wide.
2.5.
Ryan Newman leads, Johnny Benson second, Bobby Labonte third, Mike Skinner fourth, and here's the race for 5th. It's Kurt Busch in the 97 and Biffle in the 55.
They're all wanting that position. Get in there. Oh, Kurt Busch slides up the hill. Now, who's going to have the run off 4?
Look, that outside group looks pretty good right now. I mean, as far as what we've seen in the past here, looks like there's a little bit of grip out there.
Here's Ricky Craven in the 32 coming into the picture along with Tony Stewart.
And Kurt Busch finally just let Greg Biffle get to the inside because the outside group was working, but these cars are about a half second slower than the cars in front of him. He said, look, we can run here forever. I need to let this guy go so he can get in line and try to run down these leaders.
See those cars moving around like that? I mean, they're still, these tires are still coming up to temperature. They're still coming up to pressures. As we watch up the top of Mark Martin's car here, watch the back of Tony. They're tiptoeing.
Mark Martin running in 9th place, second in the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship coming into the race, only 9 points behind leader Sterling Marlin. And John Andretti and Richard Petty's 43, sneaking up on Mark's back bumper.
Aggressive tiptoeing.
Yes. And Kurt Busch once again gets a run on Biffle down in 1 and 2. Now this time Greg will just back off and let Kurt Busch go.
That's 5th place there, changing hands.
And unfortunately, there's another one back there, Greg, and that would be Ricky Craven in the Tide Ride.
Aerial views today, courtesy of the United States Army and Army of One.
Don't get too high up there, Greg.
Outside that white line, there's not a lot of traction. That second white line. Alan and I walked down to that corner this morning, and there seems to be a lot of grip in that new asphalt, but above it,
yeah,
kind of treacherous.
You get above that second dotted line, that white dotted line on the top side of that racetrack, you are going for a ride. And if you don't, you're very lucky. Craven from Newburgh, Maine, still has a place up there on the lakes that he goes to. It's his kind of a getaway, so whenever he does anything good at this racetrack, he gets a huge roar. they've just not run well in races here over the course of Ricky's career. He's qualified really well, but Matt, his race results, he's trying to work on.
He is trying to improve that. You mentioned in the pre-race how excited they are about this race car. He drove to victory lane last year, hoping for another win today, but his crew chief Mike Beam just came on the radio and told Ricky, we will ride here until the air pressures build up. Then we will show them what we've got. They made a lot of changes to this race car. They felt like it was a top 10 race car, but not a winning race car, so they made some changes this morning.
And that car won at Martinsville, Virginia. A very similar shape track, but half the size. This is the half-mile track. This is a mile.
Kurt Busch goes by Mike Skinner. Goes to the 4th position. And did it on the outside, but Skinner gave him a little help. He did not contest that battle very much.
Yeah, in happy hour yesterday, we were looking at the cars that we felt were pretty strong on long runs. And this one right here, Kurt Busch's car, was one of the better cars well into the run.
Doctor's crew chief Jimmy Fennig this morning. You know, racers aren't ones to come out and boast and just say, yeah, we're good. They're usually pretty conservative. Yeah, we think so. We're okay. Jimmy said, yeah, we got a pretty good hot rod today.
Tony Stewart, the 20 car, moves up on the pretty close to the back bumper of Greg Biffle as we see Ricky Craven trying to get position on the 4 car, and he does.
Was that bump and run we were talking about, Wally, about an hour ago?
Yep. We're going to see a lot of that.
Another racing phrase that Skinner's going to demonstrate for you if he doesn't get back to the bottom is freight trained. Cars all hitched together, making a move to his inside unless he can find that bottom lane. Ryan Newman, the early leader in the New Hampshire 300.
NBC's coverage of the New Hampshire 300 is brought to you by Circuit City. We know how you feel, that's why we're here. Circuit City, we're with you. By Mobil 1. The more you know about new Mobil 1, the better it is for your car. By Wrangler and Wrangler's new 5-star premium denim jeans. And by UPS, official delivery company of NASCAR. We want to race the truck. People love the truck.
Looking at this great race for the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship that has shaped up with 10 races to go. We've been sitting around, well, who's going to win it? Who's going to win it? We want to know what you think. Log on to NBCSports.com and vote which driver you think will win the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship. You can also check out the pit map for today's race where your favorite driver is set up along pit road. It's all at NBCSports.com. All right, just a minute ago, close call off of turn number 2 for Pennsylvanian Jimmy Spencer.
There he is. The target car comes off. No, and he has to jump off the throttle because it looked like he got loose. Almost got in the wall with the back end.
There's the leader, Ryan Newman. Started on the pole. He's led every lap so far. We are 15 laps in now. About to complete the 16th circuit as he comes off turn 4. And he's got Johnny Benson and Barney Labonte towing behind in a little bit of a 3-car breakaway.
A little bit of a breakaway, but Kurt Busch is coming too.
Mikey Waltrip got up onto the bottom lane there in 3 and 4.
Now he's trying to come back on the inside of Bill Elliott. Said, okay, Bill, oh man, how did he know? How did Bill know that Mikey was going to give him that spot?
Wishful thinking?
Yeah, I guess.
You ever, when you're behind the wheel and you're going to squeeze in line in front of somebody, I mean, do you actually like draw up and pull
close
your arms
right
in tight?
eye.
And
I usually close the right eye. You kind of need the left one to see a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know when it's close.
Let's see, that is back at 15th, 16th, and 17th spot. Elliott in the 9 is 15th. Mikey in the 15th is, in the 15 rather, is 16th.
Am I seeing raindrops on Rusty's camera?
Yes, you were.
Yeah, weather is very much threatening the racetrack.
A few raindrops on our camera lens.
There's one. I was hoping it was a bug, but...
And some of the NASCAR, caution is out for rain. Caution for rain. Some of the NASCAR spotters monitoring their radio channel, calling in from around the track, saying there's a couple of drops in 1, a couple of drops in 3, and now there's a couple of drops everywhere.
That's more than a couple of drops.
Well, we got 18 laps done. Now 19. And the rain is falling again here at New Hampshire International Speedway.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Well, we were ready, and we started, and now we've slowed because it's raining again here at New Hampshire. After an hour delay for rain, we got the thing going, got 20 laps in under the green flag.
And we're about to see a red flag come out.
It is starting to come down heavier.
Because I'll tell you what, that track is wet, and these cars on that wet racetrack,
not a good
slickery.
Not a good combination.
And they are going to bring the field down and park them under the red flag.
See, Mike Helton was listening to me.
I don't think he's taking your advice. He would be wise to on this particular issue. So they're going to stop them. The fans are reaching for the umbrellas and the raincoats, and the concession stands are about to get busy here. And we are going to cover them up and wait out another rain delay in New England. Fighting the weather. Ryan Newman leads. We're going to the red flag here on NBC. Let's check the Wendy's race menu while we have a minute here in New Hampshire. The race for the championship continues next Sunday in Dover, Delaware on the Monster Mile. TNT has it for you, 12:30 Eastern Time. Then it's back on NBC in Kansas City, Talladega, and Charlotte as we move into the month of October. NASCAR Busch Series update. No race for the Busch Series this weekend. They run in Dover next Saturday. You'll see that on TNT. Nice tight championship fight there between Greg Biffle and Jason Keller. They will renew that one on the Monster Mile this coming Saturday afternoon. NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series ran Friday night at Texas Motor Speedway. Brendan Gaughan has 2 career Craftsman Truck wins, both of them at Texas.
How about Coy Gibbs? Joe Gibbs' boy, 2nd spot.
Former linebacker at Stanford, now turning into a successful race car driver.
And David Starr, the young Texan, finished 3rd.
Yep, championship standings there. Mike Bliss leading also a very tightly bunched pack. They race next on the short track in South Boston, Virginia.
That is very, very close.
And we've got a close one here for the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship. Right now, everybody, though, parked under the red flag, and nothing much happening here in New Hampshire except Marty Snyder. He's happening now. Aren't you, Marty?
I'm happening now. Yeah, I think that would be. Am I happening now? I'm happening because I'm with Jeff Burton. That's what Alan said. I don't know. I don't know what it meant. Anyway, you decided to stop, and you took on 4 tires. Why for both?
Well, we stopped because with the rain, we thought that we came in and got on 4 tires that it'd be beneficial. To me, when you put tires on and you go run them and then you come back and sit, they aren't as good as they are before. So we looked at the rain and thought, well, we're stopping for rain, so let's go ahead and put on 4. We can get an adjustment to our car without putting on 2, so we'll learn more about our car quicker. We gave up, some spots for pitting it all, and we gave up a few spots for putting on 2. But if we don't go back green today, we're going to be in good shape.
All right, but I think we're going to go back green. Don't you? Yeah.
I think that we're going to run 30 laps at a time here today.
That's not good. All right, Alan. Matt, sorry.
Well, Marty, down here in the Budweiser pit, hunkered underneath a Big Ten and some tarps, Dale Earnhardt Jr. How was your car before the red flag?
It started off real good. I passed a bunch of cars on the outside, and we had the car working pretty good in practice. And some things we did to it got it a little bit tight in the middle, I think. We got to take some bite out and do some things. We just made a stop, fix that, and we should be good. I just want to get it loose enough where I can drive through the center of the corner. But who's the weather expert? How long is this going to stick around?
I think it's going to be gone here another 5 or 10 minutes.
Well, it don't look good. It looks pretty dark to me.
Well, I understand you've been doing some farming lately.
Yeah, I've been riding tractors and stuff. I mean, we got some land, and me and my buddies, the Dirty Mo Posse, we've been riding on tractors, bush hogging and carrying on. We made us a 4-wheeler track, stuff like that. We ain't working the land. We just playing with it. So having a good time.
Now I understand a big part of the win for you last week in that Busch race. Yeah, it was neat to see Bono get his first win as a crew chief. But you got a couple TV sets, and also I heard you got a big gift certificate. Your cousin there, Tony Jr., was telling me you're going to go out and buy some farm implements.
Yeah, I got a $3,500 gift certificate from Steel, so I can give me some big old saws, I'm going to give me a big chainsaw, the big muffler on it, go in competition. Maybe I'll win some competitions.
Hey, now you are one of the most popular drivers in Winston Cup Series, and I understand that, you know, the fans, they're all over trying to get your autograph, and today you had the state police escorting you into an appearance?
Well, they do that every once in a while. When we ask for their help, they're always there. It's real crowded. A lot of these places don't have things kind of sectioned off. We got a lot of people coming to the racetrack in the morning, and we go do our Budweiser 10 appearance at 10 o'clock, so we got to get out.
That's a little early for you, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty early. I don't like it much, but anyways, we got to go out, and you got 120,000 trying to come in. So yeah, you're gonna have to get some escorts to do that.
I tell you what, I'm kind of worried. You with a chainsaw.
It's fun, man. Just stay back. If you're worried about it, don't even come over, man, because shit's gonna start flying. I'll tell you.
I think stuff will start flying. Let's go to you, Bill.
Thank you, Matt. Down here at the front of the field with Ryan Newman. I think, are you still driving laps in your head? Is that what you're doing in there?
Just kind of sitting here chilling out. It's pretty hot in here. It's kind of a oven, but you know, the car's pretty good so far, and we're just kind of holding our own. Figured that it was going to keep at some point start raining there again. I saw the clouds over there off turn 1, and looks like it's going to get a little worse. But just kind of waiting to see how things go, whether we're going to race today or tomorrow.
I know you said your car is pretty good. Just a little bit tight.
Just a little bit. Not as, you know, not that bad. But I just want to know how BP's doing up there in the booth.
He's doing fine. You see, during these rain delays, you usually bring him food and drink and stuff like that.
That's important because, I mean, it's important to stay well nutritious and all that stuff. So we'll see.
Tell him not to worry about me, Bill. I'm doing okay.
BP says don't worry about him. He's doing just fine. Thank you.
Okay. I just making sure, man. I care about him.
I want to ask you something. How long did it take you and Matt Borland to get your communications down? Because you're very interesting to listen to on the radio, on the scanner during the race.
Well, I guess we think alike, so we talk alike, and sometimes we don't need to talk because we think alike. So, you know, it's a good relationship and great communication between the both of us, and you know, hopefully we can keep the car up front today with that.
That'd be big for you, wouldn't it, to get to victory lane here this afternoon?
Yeah, but we need some cooperation with Mother Nature here.
We can't help you with that.
We're trying. I mean, it's going to make for a long day, but we've had a couple like this year, and we've run good at those too.
All right, man. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
By the way, some of the other guys got out. Did you know that?
What's that?
Some of the other guys got out of the car. Did you know that?
Yeah, they said we could get out, then they said we couldn't get out. So, seeing how I'm late, I figured I might as well listen to the rules.
All right, way to go. All right, Ryan Newman, pole sitter, rookie, looking for his first win. Dave?
All right, Bill, under my umbrella, nothing happening. But under this umbrella, had a big confab going on over here between Sterling Marlin, Tony Glover, and Lee McCall. What were you talking about there, deciding what to do next? Because you pitted under that first caution.
Just tight, and we changed some things this morning, and we fight a lot with the Dodge. It's just tight, and got springs in the rear. It all spin out on pit road, but it won't do it. It's just real tight and can't get the car turned. So we made some air pressure and some wedge and track bar adjustments, and we didn't have nothing to lose. It's going to rain, probably rain again. We'll go again and rain again. So we'll get adjusted, keep working on it all day, and see what we got.
Now, you had picked up some spots at the start of the race there. What happened at the start? Because obviously we were looking at the leaders, and you were a little bit back. What happened at the start?
Got a good run on the outside on some guys. Got with the 24 and the 48, and I thought, man, it's going to be pretty good. Run about 3 or 4 laps and started getting tighter and tighter, and they was kind of loose when we started, and they got back by me. So, like I said, we just got to adjust on the car, what we got, and see what we can do.
Now, with only a few of the guys coming in during that caution, you chose to take on 2. But then again, so did everybody else. So that was kind of a wash, wasn't it? Why'd you take on 2?
Just to get your track position back, because you pretty much knew everybody behind you was going to take on 2. So put on 2. These tires are really don't fall off much, and there's no need to put on 4 in 20 laps. So just put on 2 and make a few adjustments and see what we got.
All right, we will see what they got. I promise you, because it's going to stop raining, and we're going to go racing, and we will see what he has. Marty?
I've uncovered Michael Waltrip, and he has a headset on, and that scares me. So Alan and Benny and Wally, watch out, first of all. But let's talk about your race car. I saw you speeding around the track, picking up positions, and then I saw you trying the uncharted 3rd lane here at New Hampshire. What happened there?
Ricky Rudd ran into me and knocked me up there, and we talked about that. We've come to an amicable agreement about how that'll take place in the future, and I didn't do it by dotting his other eye or anything.
That was nice of you.
It was amicable.
That's very good.
Yeah, because it's second week in the NFL, I want to wear my headset like this.
Okay. That's very nice. But see, then you can't quite get the microphone to your mouth. That wouldn't be good. So you may want to flip it back up. And Oh, and I'm also told that you had a little run-in with Jerry Nadeau. Was everybody running into you today, Mikey? We only ran a few laps.
It was a rough start. I was really geared up to go on the high side when I started on the outside. I knew our car was really good. Slugger and the boys gave me a great car all weekend, and so I wanted to make some time on the start. And Nadeau got into me a little bit, but it was mainly John Andretti that went straight when we got to the corner instead of making a left, and he kind of took my groove away from me and knocked me up high. But the car's really, really strong, and we felt real confident that the Napa Auto Parts, Klausner Furniture, Ritz Cracker Chevy would be good today, and very pleased with the performance. We were terrible here in July and finished 20th, and we think we got a hot rod, BP. You know how that feels.
Hey, Mikey, what are you listening to with that headset? Are you hearing me or are you listening to a radio station?
Hearing you.
I'm hearing you, and it's something that has just brightened up my day. Nothing like a Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, rainy day with BP.
Well, thank you very much, Mikey.
You remind me a little bit of Willard Scott. You know, just kind of jovial, fun guy up on top of everything.
There you go. I wish I was a weatherman that could tell you it's going to stop raining.
Yeah, can you help us out there, BP?
Willard Scott. I'll leave that to Willard Scott.
These race fans in New England are the best in the whole country. I mean, it is so wonderful to come up here, so refreshing to see people excited and happy to cheer you on at what you love to do. And NASCAR belongs in New England, and I'm so glad we're at the Bears facility. And hopefully this cool, overcast weather will keep their track here in the Granite State from turning to gravel like it did in July.
Yeah, nobody's left, which is the amazing part. I mean, you look around, very few people left, and it's still raining.
Hey, Mikey. This is Wally.
Hey, Wally. How you been, buddy?
Look at how Marty's holding the umbrella. He's not
I'm
keeping
trying
you
to help him
dry.
out. I'm trying to help him out.
You're
It's
not
actually
even holding
blowing,
it over his head.
It's blowing from behind us, Wally, so if you were down here, maybe you'd understand.
Well, Wally, what we've got down here is a bunch of guys on pit road, Wally, Dave, just trying to beat out a story for you guys so that when they go away, y'all can shed some light on it. All they can do is expose a story. They can't really shed any light on it. So work with them, would you?
We can shed a little light.
What?
We can shed a little light, I said.
Okay.
They beat up the story.
I don't like it when people just ramble on and on, so I want to say thanks for the time on TV. We're on the mothership, aren't we? We're on NBC.
Yes.
That's big. Napa Auto Parts appreciate y'all putting me on there. And we're going to go away and watch the Carolina Panthers hopefully win their second one in a row.
Mikey, you don't need to stand on my shoulders.
Week 2 of NFL continues.
Okay. Well, but racing also continues at New Hampshire. Alan, take it away.
We get the point, Mike. We get the point. I wonder if he gets a bonus from the sponsor for that stuff. It's raining here in New Hampshire. Red flags out.
I'm only happy when it rains. I'm only happy when it's complicated. And though I know you can't appreciate it, I'm only happy when it
NASCAR on NBC at New Hampshire International Speedway, our Circuit City track fact. This, the largest sports facility in New England. More than 500,000 come here each year. Other sports facilities in New England by comparison, the brand new stadium for the NFL Patriots, Gillette Stadium, only 68,000. Fenway Park, 33,000. And the Fleet Center, where the Celtics and Bruins play, just 18,600. 91,000 here. That's the seating. Plus the people on the hill on the backstretch and the people in the infield. It's a crowd. And they've got a waiting list for tickets here. They've sold out every Winston Cup race they've had since they first started coming here in 1993. These people love their NASCAR racing. Don't they, Bill?
They sure do, and I just got to show you one thing. This is Johnny Benson. He's working his butt off trying to win a race here. No umbrella. Look at this. Here's his crew chief, James Ince. He sits over there on the war wagon all race. He's got a number. What's up with that?
And don't think he's just moved over there.
No, he's been there. He didn't just get out of the shot to get that Valvoline umbrella out of the shot. He's been standing over there all the time. Are you okay?
I think so. I mean, the Valvoline Pontiac's pretty good right now. Just, I wouldn't say it's really tight, but looks like Ryan and us about the same speed. I think he's messing with us, though, because I'd start to catch up. He'd just pull away. But I think we're okay.
You think?
Well, I
You're
think
the only
it's
guy
raining.
that would know.
It's raining. I don't know now. I think we'll be pretty good whenever we get started and going again. And the only thing I'm concerned about is the backfield pit now, and our tires sitting in the rain. And if we end up sitting longer than what we want to, I'm not sure what we're going to do. We're either going to have to just commit to stay out or come in and get tires, but they're going to commit to stay out, I think.
Because some of them have tires, and all of them have 22 more laps of fuel than you got.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened last week at Bristol, or Richmond too. But and that's okay. So I think we'll be all right. We can still go a long ways yet. We'll still go another 60 laps. So we'll see how it unfolds.
What happened to you at Richmond Saturday night?
The wrong place, wrong time, I guess. So it's just one of those deals. So I don't know. We're not going to worry about it too much.
Yeah, but that was a great race car, and this is a sister car to that, right?
Yeah, we really wanted to bring that car from Richmond here. I mean, it was a great race car, and it still is. It's just got a new clip, 2 new right door bars, and a new rear clip on it. So, and this car's real similar to it. I don't think we've run it yet this year, but it's a good race car, and we'll just deal with it. I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, James said, I said you have 1 short track car left. He goes, no, we have 1.5 based on that.
Well, we're just getting the other one back together. Actually, the guys at the shop, man, those guys are awesome. By Monday or Tuesday, they already had the clips done and already back in the shop working on it. So it's a good race car. We'll make it better and get it back out here again.
And your health is good?
Health is good. I'm not worried about that at all, as long as nobody tries to put me in a fence again. I mean, that's been my biggest drawback. But outside that, yeah, I'm fine. And we'll just see if we can run this thing all day and keep her up front. Need to keep it up front and then worry about the end of the race at the end. And I think we might have something for him.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Okay, that's Johnny Benson. Started second, still running second. Let's go to Matt.
Bill, for the second straight trip to New Hampshire, Mike Skinner qualified in the top 5. He started 5th today, but you faded back to 10th. Mike, what's wrong with the car?
That thing's pushing really bad. You know, we had a little problem in happy hour, and we did several things with the shocks and different things on the race car to tighten it up, and to loosen it up, and it seems like every bolt got turned the wrong direction for some reason. The car's really, really tight right now. I was screaming on the radio, let's go ahead and pit. I don't care if anybody else pits or not. Let's get in here and work on this race car. Yeah, we might give up some track position right now, but it's going to be a long race.
Now, this has been an up and down week for you. You had a great run, but not the finish to show for it at Richmond. But then you go to test at Kansas City, and what happened?
Well, unfortunately, we had a right front tire blowout. I don't know if we ran over something. Goodyear's looking at the tire right now, but was making long runs. Kodak car was really good, was pretty fast. We'd done some qualifying runs and some race runs, and the car seemed to be real competitive, really good. And all of a sudden, pow, right front tire blows out, and the next thing I remember, my face was on fire. So it wasn't a very good day for us, but we made the choice to come here and get in the car and make a couple laps. And if I felt like racing, we'd race. And it's hard to give up that seat. It's hard to let somebody else drive your race car.
Hey, Skinner, this is Wally.
Hey, Wally.
You're telling everybody that you burned your face, but you know Opus got a hold of your face. Finally. Mike's got a Doberman named Opus. And you've been beating on that dog long enough. He finally had enough.
Wally, have you been swimming lately?
No.
Was you out boating, and did you have fun last night?
Oh, I guess you can call it boating. We didn't go swimming, no.
And you didn't think I was paying attention,
That story we will tell later, believe me.
Okay.
Now, come on, beating on Opus. Now, Opus, I've never seen a dog more pampered and spoiled than that Doberman.
Opus is pretty spoiled. He's got it made.
It's a flying a jet plane all the time.
Since he was 10 weeks old, Wally used to ride to the racetrack with us.
He lost his seat when Opus came along.
When Opus came along, Wally had to go.
Hey, in all seriousness, let's talk about how did the Flame get inside the race car, Mike?
Apparently, we were making long runs. We didn't have any sort of air duct or anything into the helmet. Probably should have, and I had the bottom of the helmet cracked just a little bit. And when we hit the fence, apparently the shield came open a little bit. Firewall split, fire came in. I guess the fuel pump broke off. I really don't know what happened after that. I was kind of in la-la land for a little while there, but somehow or the other it got in the car, and seen a couple plastic surgeons, a couple doctors. Everybody says should heal up pretty good, so hopefully it will.
Now, how is the discomfort inside the race car? Because there's a lot of debris, a lot of dust that always flies around. How's that affecting you?
When that car was hauling butt the other day, it didn't feel bad at all. Today it really hurts because the car is bad. I think if we could get our race car, our Kodak car, a little bit more competitive, I think it would hurt a heck of a lot less. If I heard you talking to Junior a while ago, was he going to buy some farm equipment or something?
He actually bought some land. He's got a farm now, and he got a gift certificate by winning the Bush race, and he's going to go out and buy some more farm implements, a chainsaw and a few other things. Can you imagine him with a chainsaw?
That's dangerous, but I want to borrow the saw and cut about 2 inches off that right front spring in our race car. Maybe it'll make it turn a little bit better.
All right, they're already talking about what they're going to do to that race car once we get back to green, Dave.
And Greg Biffle probably wishes he could do a little something to his race car right now, but he's not going to give up track position. Running 6th, started 4th. What happened at the start of the race for you, Greg?
I've just started in the outside groove there, and my car predominantly has been a little bit loose getting into 3 and 4 over there, and it just kind of chattered up the racetrack a little bit, and let a couple guys go on the bottom there, and got a little love tap from my teammate Kurt. He wanted by pretty bad, so. But we're closing in on 32. We're running same lap times as the leader, so car's starting to come around a little bit. It's
really bad on cold tires, but runs real good once I get about 10 laps on the tires. And it was really coming to me. Just wanted to be cautious at the beginning, not make a mistake, and kind of learn a little bit here.
Last week you had to jump into the car when Bobby was injured during the truck race. This week you got your own seat in there. How much of a difference is that?
It's big. I tell you what, it's like sitting in a recliner now. It's before it was a little wide, and I had pressing on my shoulder blades, and it was pretty uncomfortable. But this week, I think it makes a big difference. They say the more relaxed you are, the more you can concentrate and focus on the racetrack, and I think that's it's helped me a little bit this week is being comfy inside there.
All right, and you're not getting any pressure from the Chevrolet guys now about being a Ford spy driving this Chevrolet and learning all their secrets, are you?
No, I got the spy camera out though. I'm taking pictures.
Where is it? Where is it? In your hat somewhere? Or?
Yeah. No, it's the cars act quite a bit different. I've compared notes with Mark and Jeff and those guys what they're using over there in the Fords here, and it's considerably different. And I talked with Jimmy Johnson and a couple of Chevy guys, and we got pretty similar setups. So the information really doesn't cross that well between the two bodies.
Well, this is a great opportunity for Greg, obviously. Bobby, we wish the best and a quick return, but for now, Greg will drive the 55 Chevrolet, learn what he can in the Winston Cup Series. Marty?
Dave, Bill Elliott and I have found a shelter, which is a good thing, but how's your race car first off?
Well, for 20 laps, it wasn't bad, but we've still got a long way to go, and the weather's not cooperating at all, so I figured you had the full story because you had Mikey on earlier.
Yeah, we had him on headsets too, like you're on headsets right now, and Alan and Benny and Wally are making fun of him, and you can hear what BP talking to you now.
Hey,
Yeah.
Bill.
Yes, sir.
Kind of chopped Mikey going down in turn one there, didn't you, buddy?
No, I didn't do anything.
Oh, didn't you?
No.
Oh, okay.
He backed off. I drove her on in.
Well, I noticed that.
That's what you do when you're the Winston Cup champion, right?
No, it's still early in the race, and everybody's kind of jockeying for positions, but now we just got to get the weather right. I mean, that's what makes it hard. Just like Pocono, we're in and out of the cars so many times, and it made for a tough afternoon. And if we don't get this thing started here pretty quick, we're going to be in a tough spot here today.
Yeah, that Pocono thing worked out pretty good for you.
Well, it did for me, but this is not Pocono, but it is the Northeast.
Well, you can still win today, though, right? I mean, it's a rain race.
Well, I don't know if you can win today, maybe tomorrow.
Oh, now come on, Bill. This stuff's going to lift. We're going to be racing in an hour.
Bill.
Okay.
He's calling on all of his pilot's experience here to make this weather forecast, I think.
Well,
Phil, as you know, Marty lives in fantasy land.
I'm hoping, Wally. I'm hoping, okay? Help me out here.
He's not helping himself.
I can see the weather. I understand our situation, but I'm hoping we might get it in.
Well, we all are. I mean, we'd all like to get out of here and get home.
That's what I'm talking. Optimism. Come on, Bill.
You got to have a little, but unfortunately, when it's pouring rain, it looks like it's set in for a while. And what the radar had shown earlier, it's the odds are not too much in our favor.
Yeah, but I'm still optimistic. Okay, I'll be optimistic. You guys all be pessimistic. I think we're racing today.
See you, Bill. Good luck.
Marty's not looking at the weather rock. The old instrument that sat outside the radio station I worked at years ago, they said if you want to know if it's snowing, look at the weather rock. If it's white, it's snowing. If it's wet, it's raining. If it's dry, we're okay. The weather rock is wet right now. Here's what we were talking about with Bill a minute ago.
No, that's Ricky. Wrong one. That's Ricky Rudd in the 28 and Michael Walter.
But then the crossover move by Mikey.
Yes, there he comes. Oh, yeah, that's right. This is what we're talking about. It looks like Mikey has position that Bill's going to let him go. Wrong.
Clear, clear, clear.
Go! No spotter in the right mind would have said clear there.
Right eye closed. Squeezing the steering wheel tight.
Chomping down.
All right. Red flag for rain after 22 laps of the New Hampshire 300.
And welcome back to the New Hampshire International Speedway, where the rain continues to fall. The Winston Cup New Hampshire 300 under the red flag after 22 laps. Pole sitter Ryan Newman continues to lead. People scrambling for cover. I would be one of those. And fortunately, I found cover here alongside Bobby Labonte. How is your car through 22 laps?
It's not bad. It's just a little bit tight, mid-corner exit, but other than that, it's pretty good. Every now and then I can run a good lap. Sometimes I get up a little high and run a little bit slower lap, but all in all, it's not too bad.
So you got to stay on the bottom of the racetrack, Bobby?
Yeah.
I
think so.
Have you been up there outside those white lines? How slick is it up there? Have you tried it?
I have not been up there. I don't plan on going up there either.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yep.
You had a tough race last Saturday night at Richmond, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it was just unfortunate. Guys got crossed up in front of me. Tried to slow down. My options weren't very good, and I hit the 10 car, which still should have been. I should have been going slower than that, but I just didn't react fast enough, and ruined our night. Luckily, didn't ruin Johnny's too bad there. And as far as the front end goes, and we had to pit a lot, got out of track position and everything, and still struggled after that. But I don't know if the front end had a lot to do with that or not. But didn't help us out. Then we had a rear end fail. I mean, just parts failure that just doesn't happen very often, but it does every now and then. And we just had to fight back after that and finish the race and come here to Loudon.
Hey, Bobby. Bill, you could talk to these guys all day about their racing, but what they really want to talk about is their kids racing.
Yeah.
How's Tyler doing, Bobby?
Well, he's doing all right. We aren't racing right now, but he's doing good. We're trying to get things squared away where we can do us a track there in North Carolina and try to get some racing by next year.
Bobby, you said you had a gear failure. Didn't Tony have the same problem in his car?
That would be correct, Benny. Very, very observant.
Same ratio?
Yeah, but not the same builds, though.
Wow.
I mean, the same ratio, but not the same
manufacturer.
Well, yeah, but not the same material.
Oh, wow.
A date of a material.
I was told to ask you if you sat in rain this hard at a Buffett concert.
Yes, I have, as a matter of fact. I used to think that I'd look up in the grandstands on days like today and see ponchos and umbrellas and go, man, why don't they go to the cars or something? It was pouring down rain. And my wife and I went to Raleigh and sat through or stood on top of the chairs and cheered on the 5th row of pouring down rain, thunder, lightning, the whole deal. And I looked at her and I said, now I know why.
Had a good time, huh?
Oh, it was a blast.
Yeah, good. Was on a good show?
Oh, yeah.
All right, good luck when we get back going.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, that's Bobby Labonte, and we go to Yoakum.
Well, Bill, we're not on the lawn, but we're underneath a big tent here in the 19 garage pit area, whatever we want to call this here. We got the entire Dodge boys here, but first off, a little story. So the entire crew drove back in a van so they could start working on this race car after Richmond, after you finished 10th with it. And what do you do on, like, lap 10?
We, lap 2.
Oh, lap 2.
Yeah, we knocked the right front fender in on accident. We had our buddy Nate who got into me a little bit, but we didn't get turned or nothing. They got it fixed, and hopefully we'll be in good shape here.
Well, how is that race car now?
It's all right. We started out a little tight, and our Dodge dealers, UAW Dodge, should be getting better, on the long runs. And we knew we weren't going to be as fast on the short runs. So hopefully we get this thing going today or tomorrow or Tuesday or something. See what happens.
Now, what is it about this team? It seems like ever since about Watkins Glen, this group has changed. The chemistry has changed, and you guys have gotten a lot closer.
Yeah, we have. I mean, you look in here. This is a tight knit group, and it's everybody on the Do crew, and all these guys right here are part of it. And we just feel like that we're gelling together and starting to come together as a team. And our leader, he's not here yet. He's somewhere, but
is that part of Ray also backing away though and letting Mike and Dave and yourself kind of come together and try to make more decisions?
Yeah, but Ray's still highly involved here. We need him involved, and he just got a good group of people here together, and he helps us and steers us in the right direction, or actually keeps us from going in the wrong direction a lot of times too. So he's been good for us, and I don't know where he's at. He was here earlier. I'm not sure where he went. Maybe you can.
Well, you know what, though? He's not here. We've looked all around, but, oh, my goodness, we found Ray's notebook. Now, have you ever wondered what a winning crew chief and car owner writes in his notebook? All those famous chassis setups, Benny?
I wouldn't go there.
Benny, we're going to do it. We're going to show
wouldn't
folks.
Go there.
You ever wondered what those spring settings and shock? You don't think so?
I wouldn't go there.
Well, he's not around here, so we're going to do it. You know what?
Hey, Jeremy.
I had nothing to do with that. I'll tell you that right now. I know Ray's back there watching.
You did it. You wrote it on there.
No, I didn't do it. He always thinks I do stuff like that. I think it was Aaron or Mike Keller or somebody like that did it.
Hey, Jeremy.
Yeah.
It took you all this time for you and those puppies you got working for you to get together. I mean, the youngest crew in the whole deal, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, I think so. And we got a young bunch of guys here, and I almost said girls, but this is a bunch of guys. They're great guys, but we're having fun, and it is a young team, and we're building ourselves and getting where we need to be, and hopefully we'll show some potential here in the future.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, these guys, the young pups, are looking for a win here and break through this 19 team, and let's go to Dave. Dave?
And standing by with Jeff Green, who right now is leading his teammates in the championship chase. Hey, is that important? I mean, you guys are all competitive. Are you glad to be the first Richard Childress car so far this year?
I don't think we look at that way, Dave. If we was leading first, second, and third, it might be something. But 17th and where the other two guys are,
Harvick just made it in the top 20.
I don't think that's where we want to be at RCR. We're not proud of that, but we are proud that we're getting better each and every week. Our AOL car's running better each and every week, and guys are doing a great job on pit road, getting me out quicker, and I'm doing hopefully a better job for them on the racetrack. So hopefully it's all come together for us.
You were in the Winston Cup Series, we're out of the Winston Cup Series, and now you're back. I mean, how much are you enjoying the fact that you're in the series that is the top echelon that you love so much, and you're competitive?
Well, I think as young race drivers, as a young boy from Kentucky growing up, I always wanted to be the best of the best. And the best of the best is right here in the Winston Cup Series and NASCAR. And no disrespect to the Busch Series, but to step to this level and to be able to win on this circuit, I think you've done it all. And that's what we're looking forward to doing. Hopefully we can get this AOL Chevy up front today. We've got a great race car, and whenever we run, I think if we can get up there, we can stay there. So hopefully we'll have another finish like we did here in the spring.
And you know he doesn't mean any disrespect to the Busch Series. He's a former champion and still pays close attention to what's going on there. Bill?
Thank you, Dave. Pole sitter Ryan Newman continues to lead this race under the red flag after 22 laps. No wins yet for Ryan Newman, but an outstanding season. 4 second-place finishes, currently 10th in points. After practice ended yesterday and he debriefed with Matt Borland and company, he was looking for a way to relax. Marty Snyder found him, and the two of them went out to try and kick a little bass.
I'm glad we got a boat with a nice quiet trolling motor on it so we can sneak up on the fish.
Ain't no Minn Kota.
You thought about that first win yet?
Oh, yeah.
Well, how you going to celebrate?
I don't know.
You tired of finishing second?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
You'll take second places?
Second and third. You guys going to be there if I do win?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Will you personally be there?
Bill will be in victory lane if you win.
Where are you going to be? Toting the wagon back?
Huh?
Toting the wagon back?
Yeah, toting the wagon back. That's me. I take Bill's scraps. You always been, like, not talkative?
Antisocial.
Antisocial?
Yeah. That's the word you're looking for.
I'm not going to say that. You're not antisocial, though. That's not the deal.
I'm social when I need to be.
Oh, okay. Antisocial.
Private.
He's not antisocial.
Seductive.
He's a private person.
Seductive.
No, that's not what we say here.
So does it bug you to talk about? Huh? Does it bug you to talk about you then if you're so private?
Well, sometimes, but
is that what?
It's just not your everyday conversation, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking to me like girls talk to me on their first date.
Don't even use that line. Wally will go a long way with that line. So what do you think today? You got a phone call from Roger Penske. Do you think that?
Actually, there's a lot of coincidence there. I met Roger at Daytona in 2000.
What were you doing in Daytona in 2000?
I was sneaking around the garage area talking to people.
Hoping to find something?
Yeah.
Anything?
Yeah.
Did you get a garage pass?
No, it was artificial.
Artificial?
Oh, yeah.
You made a fake garage pass.
Well, you didn't always have to make a fake one. If you just looked like you knew what you were doing and was dressed clean enough, you could kind of get your way through, you know?
So you just kind of waved at the garage, at the guards, act like you knew what you were doing? And
No, you wait for a group of people to walk through, and then you follow them through. I can't tell you all my secrets.
We having fun?
It's all right. It's nice out here. When's the last time somebody yelled at you? You hear anybody in your ear saying, Snyder, going over to the 12-car pit?
Yeah, all the
Snyder
time, actually.
But I mean, is there now?
No. Newman, we have to redeem ourselves, don't we?
You know, I almost tripped over your makeup powder over here.
Thank you very much there, sir. I appreciate that. I'm beginning to think that we're just going to strike out today.
But we look good.
We do look good. My left-hand casts are looking pretty good.
Can you do one of these?
No, I can't do one of those. That's pretty good. You might, if you catch something on that cast, I'm going to really be upset.
See, that's why I asked you if we were going fishing or we're going to catch fish, because there's two different things.
And what did I tell you on the cell phone?
You told me we were going to catch fish.
And what have we done? We've gone fishing.
Yeah, we've gone fishing, yeah.
But you've taught me something very important today. It's not catching fish.
It's having fun doing it, or trying.
Exactly right.
I can't believe we got skunked, but more importantly, I think we broke a few laws, or you gave some advice as to how to break a few laws, right?
Yeah, but you know, that's just part of doing what you have to do to get to where you want to be, and you know, fortunately, I've been able to do that.
I can't believe we didn't catch any fish. I thought you were the expert. Come on.
I think it was because we had 4 big block 454s around there trying to catch the fish. You know, it was pretty tough, but you know, it was a lot of fun to be able to go out there. It's very peaceful to be out there in the lake. I guess you could admit that.
Now, did you notice there was a second boat following us?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I never saw them afterwards. Did you?
I didn't see him, no.
Well, there was a second boat following us, and here is their story.
We're on the SS Minnow. We've run aground. We're taking on water, and we're going down.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip.
Benny cannot swim, and that's why this has happened, because he's the only man on this boat that can't swim. So he came along for a boat ride today. He's got the only life jacket, so Benny's about to become very popular in the water.
Leave us, but take the Winston Cup champion. Nice yellow life jacket, Wally.
You're all like rats leaving a sinking ship. Gilligan, the skipper too, a movie star, and the rest are here on Gilligan's Island.
As Paul Harvey would say, now you know the rest of the story. I leave you guys alone for one afternoon.
It was not pretty. I mean, I can't even swim, and I decided to go out with these guys, and we're going along in the water, just cruising, what, 35, 40 miles?
We were going faster than that. It was about 40, 45.
And you saw the results. The rocks are they're not your friends in the water.
I was very concerned when I heard about the story last night, so I decided that I would make sure you were never in that kind of jeopardy again, BP. We brought you your very own full-scale replica personal flotation device. I want you to keep it in your briefcase and make sure it's with you at all times. Bathtubs, rain puddles, we don't want you to have any problems.
Trust me. If I go on the boat, I'll have one of these.
Oh, he did. As soon as we stepped on that boat, he had a death grip on this thing from the first minute we got on the boat, and you're the only smart one because you had the only one at the boat until the rescue squad
That's
came.
right. And imagine if this thing, when it got up in the air, when it hit that rock and got up in the air, I had visions of it capsizing, going over. And I gripped this thing so tightly that I cut myself with my thumbnail. I had a death grip on this baby.
I tell you, you leave him alone for one afternoon and the stories that come back. But they all came back just fine, thank you. There he is, Captain Parsons.
I was ready.
Still has a tag on it.
Who was Ryan? Who was Gilligan?
All this so you and I could go fishing. Who was Gilligan on that boat?
I think Wally was Gilligan. He was the one that started the show, you know.
But there was one guy missing.
Yeah, I think, Alan, where were you?
Yeah, that's what we want to know.
I was safely on a golf course. Thank you very much. I feel I made the right choice, it looks like.
Better yesterday than not today, I guess, huh?
Yeah, exactly right. And I can't believe you guys wrecked the boat. Ryan and I made it back safely. I don't understand.
I'll tell you what.
All I know is you were on the boat, Wally.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
And you didn't catch any fish. Now, Ryan, we will go fishing, and we will catch fish. I don't want cameras following us because the way we'll do it will be a little bit different than you're used to, but we will catch fish.
Sounds good.
There wouldn't be any TNT dynamite involved with her, Wally.
We will catch fish. That's all I got to say.
No TNT on an NBC production, huh?
Exactly.
Okay, enough of the fish stories. While it's raining here in New Hampshire, we'll break away from our NASCAR coverage. We'll check in at the Sun America Sports Desk in New York, see what's going on elsewhere in the world. Here's Jimmy Roberts. And at New Hampshire International Speedway, NASCAR on NBC continuing with 22 laps complete and the red flag out because of rain. The good news is the rain has stopped falling, but now they've got the track drawing process to go before we can get the cars back underway. Back down to pit road, here's Matt.
Well, Alan, as we continue with our fair and unbiased reporting, we've caught up with car owner and legendary crew chief Ray Evernham. Now, I'm not going to try to throw anybody under the bus, but I'll just say two words, Mike Kelly.
Well, you know, when you held that up there, I thought to myself, now that doesn't look like Jeremy's riding, and I'm right smack in the middle of renegotiation with contracts and bonuses and stuff like that with Mike Kelly. So, you know, this will be a good tool for us to use tomorrow.
We could hold on to that for you and send you a dub of that video just so, you know, if you need to maybe help as far as negotiating to negotiate down, you know, his huge salary.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know about that.
It was huge, huh?
It was, but I don't know about that. But, you know, it was, I wasn't there because I knew that I left them alone. They were going to get in trouble, and I didn't want to be anywhere around there when they did. And, you know, you had Eddie Haskell and his best friend there all in the same spot. I knew they were going to do something. I just didn't know they were going to do it to me.
Now, when you were sitting here, you were watching it on television. What was the first thing that went through your mind when you saw us pull out your book?
I wasn't sure. You know, I thought to myself, man, I wonder if I left my motorcycle magazine in there. But, you know, you're always worried about your tire pressures and stuff like that. And I thought to myself, my God, they're going to do it. And, but, you know, I don't know if it had been me or Goodyear that had been nervous if they saw those.
But is that a sign, though, of how that group has come together?
It really is. You know, we've really been trying hard. A lot of people have put a lot of effort into this program over the past couple of years. I mean, you know, we talk about the Dodge dealers, United Auto Workers, and Mountain Dew, and all those people, and you got to thank them when you can. So sorry about that, Matt. But it's been tough. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves right off the bat with Jeremy, and you know, we were up and down, and now I feel like we've got a good combination there, and we've got to take our time and build on that foundation. They had a good run last week, had to pit for gas, and hopefully, I know they're a little bit tight now, but hopefully we can make the adjustments and get that car up front.
Now, you know, folks at home, they realize that Ray Evernham's always on the outlook for young talent, and I'm told that you actually, not only do you own cars, but you also sponsor someone's race car, a young driver out of the North Carolina area. In fact, his name is Willie Evernham, but I heard you had some tough negotiations with him there.
Yeah, I do. You know, he's the driver, but you know, when his grandmom gets involved in that, who's my mother, you can bet that between my brother Willie and myself, we better put that boy in some good stuff, because when Grandma Ming comes after us, we got to behave.
Now, I understand that he was offered the Mountain Dew deal for the side of his Bandolero, but the sticking point was that he didn't want to change from number 16, and you said it had to be number 19, and it went back and forth, and I understand that he got the Mountain Dew colors, and the car number is?
Well, I guess it'll be 16. I didn't I don't know. Like I said, you know, my mother must have got involved in that. But yeah, we're starting to grow the Dew crew. Plus, he's got a younger brother, and actually they got a younger sister, so we're keeping an eye on her too.
Well, he could have like a 6 or 7 car team by the time this is done, Dave.
And Matt, Jimmy Johnson, and I were just discussing the weather, which is still kind of iffy. We talked before the race. You've run a whole 22 laps. You started 19th. You're still 19th. What's your car doing?
Car's been really good. There's been a lot of chaos at the beginning of the race. People slamming you and moving you out of the way, and you know, once we got back on track and started moving forward, the car was great. So really looking forward to getting back to green, whatever it is, you know, today or tomorrow or somewhere in between. But I think it's going to be a good race. Unfortunately, I think the track's playing some games with us over there in turn 4 already. You know, kind of like what we saw in the spring, and it's really hard to pass. So I think the fans, when we do get back to green, are going to get their money's worth and see a lot of rooting and moving and a lot of stuff that they like to see.
You radioed in. You had some pretty hard contact with the 17, didn't you?
Yeah, he knocked the snot out of me going into turn 1. You know, it's just part of hard racing. And the bottom is a preferred, you know, the middle is a preferred groove, and the bottom is where you need to dive underneath somebody to get the pass. Well, it's almost off camber down there now, and there's very little banking. So you sail off in there, hard on the brakes, looking for a lot of grip, and there isn't any grip. And then they slide up, and, you know, Schrader's made this comment a lot of times, 8 wheels are better than 4, and I was the additional 4 that the 17 needed to stay on the track, and we went on from there.
We've talked horseshoe pitching hobby before, but you also like karting when you can. I understand you had some track records this week that you set, and then your teammate Jeff Gordon broke. And then what's this about a mechanic beating you both?
Well,
you need to clarify here.
Just probably watching the motorhome or something or other. But they had a couple different size karts, and the lower horsepower kart broke their track record by quite a bit, so I was happy about that. And then we heard Robbie Gordon had a track record there in the fast kart. So Jeff and I, we had to go out there and try to race and beat that record. Jeff beat it. Then I went out and I beat Jeff's record. And then Jay Lupa, one of our crew members, works on the 24 team on race day. He's raced a lot, raced Toyota Atlantic and karts and all. He went out there and beat me by 2/10. So we didn't expect that, but he sure showed us how to get around there.
So the talent in the Hendrick Motorsports Corporation just goes deep, deep, deep in the driving side, right?
Absolutely. It's very deep. What's neat, I mean, there's a lot of guys in all these race shops that are aspiring drivers themselves, and, you know, find a way to work in motorsports to get connected and meet people and find an opportunity. And Jay's another example of that, as somebody that has a lot of racing experience, but, you know, is working on cars now, hoping someday he can get an opportunity to race.
All right, well, that's the go-karting story, and the next story for this guy after the race is going to be that he's got a birthday on Tuesday. So Tuesday from your home, shout out happy birthday to Jimmy Johnson. Alan?
Jimmy sits in 18th spot under the red flag. Rain has stopped and the track drying is underway here at New Hampshire. Don't miss what TV Guide, USA Today, and Entertainment Weekly are calling one of the best news shows of the season. It's Boomtown. Premieres Sunday in 2 weeks on NBC. While they clean up the track and try and get this thing dried out, we'll take a break. The leader is Ryan Newman. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.
You get them hot and get them wet, and then go back out and race on them. So keep an eye on that.
There is Sore Sterling, still nursing some bumps and soreness from that hard crash he had at Richmond a week ago. He's the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship leader, one of the closest championship races in the history of the sport. As they started the race today, Check it out. 151 points is the maximum of swing in a race, so any one of the top 6 could lead at the end of this race today.
And I think one of our pit reporters talked about earlier that Alan Kawicki in 1992 won the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship, and he was 278 points behind in second spot. He was 278 points behind after Dover.
Right. So he only had, what, 8 races?
And I think they've added a race since then, so I think he had about 8 races to make that many points up, and did.
Ward Burton won here in July from 31st starting spot. He sits 20th now. Dale Earnhardt Jr., one of the guys who pitted under the caution. He's back in 35th.
Okay, it was 6 races. I'm just going back in my computer in my head. Okay. 6 races.
To make up 278 points, so.
Who are you supposed to thank for that?
Alan, I did that all on my own.
Yeah, right. There's Jeff Green. Finished second here in July. Getting ready to climb back in the AOL car. He's 27th right now. Elliott Sadler.
And you see Elliott drying his feet off. That is very important because these pedals are metal. The brake, the clutch, the accelerator. So you want to be able to get your feet very dry so when you get in there, if you need to use the brakes, they aren't going to slide off.
And Bill Elliott putting on the heel protector to keep the heat from the exhaust pipes that run under the floor of the car off his feet.
There you go, wiping those shoes off. Make sure that they're as dry as possible. There you go. Good job, Bill.
Elliott sitting in 15th place now. There's Johnny Benson, the second place runner. Of course, protecting your heel from being burned isn't the only thing those heel protectors are used for.
No, they're good. They're good as weapons as well.
This was Dale Earnhardt Jr. getting into the back of Ward Burton in the Bristol race 3 weeks ago. And there go the heel protectors. Strike right down the center.
Well, he just kind of letting him know that he didn't like that, and that way he could throw the heel protectors and it wouldn't hurt anything.
Great bounce. It was great fun. Yeah. I mean, he got fined for that. It was entertaining.
Well, you should have got fined for your throw too, but you did.
That's true. Bill, help me out here.
I'll do the best I can. Standing down here with Rusty Wallace, getting ready to climb back in. How's your car?
It's pretty good. Just a little bit tied up off the corners, I think like everybody's car is. But other than that, we're in good shape. You know, we'll get going, get some more laps on the tires, and find out what we really need.
And now those guys behind you, some of them stopped, got some tires, got some fuel.
Well, track position's everything here, and the tires do last for a long time, so I'm not really worried about that. What I'm worried about right now is, you know, getting this race in.
Are you racing to halfway here, Rusty?
Yeah, I really am. I'm giving all I possibly can to halfway and try to get ourselves into position at halfway in case we lose this track.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go check out Mark Martin's situation.
And his situation is that he's climbing into the car, and he does so ever so gracefully. Mark, how was your car before the first rain here?
That was good. You know, it was a lot better than yesterday's last practice, so I'm pretty, I feel a lot more confident about the way she's going to run today. I feel pretty good about it.
Now, you're a KG veteran. You know how rain affects these racetracks. How do you think it'll affect this racetrack after such a long delay here, Mark?
It's not going to make much difference. Be about like it was when we started the race. And I don't see the track changing a whole lot. This overcast is good for the track. It was trying to get awful slippery yesterday and what have you with the sun. So, you know, the sun is not its friend. So, and our car works good in the overcast, so that'll be good for us.
His car works good in the overcast. That's good today. Mark's up at the front. One guy at the back of the field is with Dave Burns.
And that is Kenny Wallace. He's at the very back of the field with a sour-sounding car right now. Kenny, what's the deal?
Well, we hope it's a spark plug. Last practice in Happy Hour, everything was fine, and we don't know really what the deal is. So we got the spark plugs out right now. We'll put a new one in, see if that's it, and if that's not it, then we're going to put a new flag wire on it. So we'll just have to see.
All right, he's not just racing to halfway, he's racing to stay in this event today. Matt?
Dave, another guy who had a chance to win here back in July, Matt Kenseth. How's your car today, Matty?
It didn't start off too good. We're doing the best we can. We're just a little bit tight, and I kind of got bounced around there in the beginning a little bit. So the guy's pretty aggressive, so Just so tight, came in, loosened the car up a little bit, thought I'd get some new tires on. I thought it'd be better to have stickers on right now than tires that got hot, got run through the water and all that. So got ourselves a little bit behind, but I think we'll be all right.
Good luck. Bill? Kyle Petty started 13th, his best starting spot in the last 14 races. How is it, Kyle?
It's pretty good. You know, all our cars qualified good. The Cheerios car, the Georgia Pacific car, and the Sprint car, all the cars were pretty good, and they're pretty decent right now. You know, you only got to run, 10 or 15 laps, so nobody really knows, but we'll wait until you get first caution, make some adjustments, and go again.
All right, Kyle Petty sitting in the Sprint Dodge, halfway in this race, just past lap 150.
Remember, this is the New Hampshire 300. 150 would be halfway. Dave?
Former winner at this track, Joe Nemechek, straps back into his car. What did you learn in 22 laps, Joe?
Our car is extremely tight. You know, we've kind of been fighting the same thing since we've been here, and we came in. We're going to come back in again and pull some rubbers out, put some rubbers in the back springs, just try to get it freed up. We're in the back, so we got to take advantage of everything we can right now.
That's really the trend back here in the back. You see that the guys who had major adjustments to make made it before the rain, and they're going to stop before we go back to green. Marty?
Well, Dave, Kyle Petty talked about how great these Petty cars are running. John Andretti running the best of them in ninth. How was the car in that first session, John?
It wasn't too bad. It's kind of what I expected it to be, and I didn't know what the track was going to be like. But the track seems to be in pretty good shape. But we need to get to the first pit stop and make an adjustment, but I'm sure everybody else does too.
Yeah, we'll let John finish getting strapped in there. He's running ninth right now, Bill.
And Greg Biffle in relief of Bobby Hamilton, who continues to sit it out. How's this car?
It's really good. I was just being cautious at the beginning there, let the tires come up. The car's really good right now. I just try and get some laps under my belt here and then maybe run with these guys a little bit. We're catching the 32 at the end of that run, but just trying to buy my time right now.
This car's been pretty good since you got here.
Yeah, it really has. I tell you, the Square D guys did a great job getting this car ready and getting my seat in there. I feel pretty comfortable sitting in here. And they worked real hard to get it ready. They changed the nose over and did a bunch of stuff to get this car ready.
That's a sharp-looking helmet, but we're on NBC today, not TNT.
I know. Well, I forgot to take the stickers off.
You forgot? How about that visor? The fact that that's a tinted visor and it's getting pretty dark here.
Well, I've got kind of light-sensitive eyes, and anytime it's daytime, I always wear a tinted visor.
Good luck, Greg.
Thank you.
Good question, Bill.
Dave?
And we're with Casey Atwood, who has finished 12th here. He's finished 16th, and he's got 2 top 10s in the Busch Series. You like this place pretty well, don't you?
Yeah, I like this track pretty good. We just started off a little bit loose there at that start. We stopped and got us some tires, so made a little bit of adjustment. So I think we're pretty good. We got it pretty decent in yesterday's practice, so we'll see if we can get this Series Dodge up to the front before it rains again.
All right, thanks, Casey. Make a note of that. 7 car, 4 tires. Matt?
Dave, back here in 36 is Steve Park, and you've had a heck of a weekend. You've gone to a backup car after a crash in qualifying. You're going to pit again, Steve. What are you going to do to the car?
Right now, the Penzo Chevrolet is a car that we had a lot of trouble with yesterday, but Dave Charpentier and Steve Neal and the guys, they cut it up in the garage yesterday to try to make it a better race car, and they have done that. We're just a little bit tight right now, and since we're in the back of the pack, we're going to come in one more time and make another adjustment.
Well, you heard him say they're going to come back in. He has 5 wins here between Busch North and Modified, Allen. He'd love to add a Winston Cup victory at what he considers his home track.
Got a long way to go to get there, and maybe a very short time. They're giving the signals. Start them up. Race is going to be here. Fans coming back in from their cars in the parking lot now that they hear the engines. Every one of the 91,000 plus seats are sold. The fans are coming back in, and we're about set to resume today's New Hampshire 300. NASCAR on NBC. Stay with us. The view of New Hampshire International Speedway from above. No raindrops on the camera lens. And the red flag is rescinded. We're back under caution in the New Hampshire 300. An hour and 48 minutes. We've sat under the red. And now the field is back out on the track to make a few more laps and finish drying out the surface. Now, I have to make our singular call to the pits. Marty wanted to do it this week. But Wally changed the programming on his phone to Japanese, and Marty can't read that, so I'll have to dial up Bill Weber. Bill?
I wonder how that happened. Thank you, Alan. Sterling Marlin, the Winston Cup point leader, restarts this race in the 23rd position. He leads Mark Martin by 9 in the race for the Winston Cup Championship. Last weekend, Sterling Marlin finished 43rd at Richmond. It's the second time this season he's finished last. In the 27 years under the current point system, no driver that has won the Winston Cup Championship has ever finished last more than once. Sterling Marlin has to fight back from that and has to fight forward from 23rd. To Marty.
Bill, a word to the wise, never leave your cell phone along with Wally because he may do something to it like put Japanese on it. Jeff Burton was 18th on lap 21. He came down pit road, gave up 10 spots to put on 4 tires. He debated with crew chief Paul Andrews as to whether or not 4 tires was the right move. They think it is because after the rain, after the track has changed, they think 4 tires will match up better than the guys in front of them who have 2 tires. 7 cars in front of Jeff Burton took 2 tires on the pit stop last time. Dave?
Marty, for Robbie Gordon, it was a November to remember. He is the defending champion of this race, postponed till last November. His car was very good at getting to the bottom of the racetrack. His crew told him as much, but Robbie complained that the car was a little bit tight getting off the corners. He learned this in those first 22 laps. They came onto pit road, made a chassis adjustment to loosen the car up, but put on no tires. No tires. There are 4 tires still on the car, but they didn't change them. They just made a chassis adjustment. Matt?
And Dave, that's the race that Jeff Gordon remembers. He led 257 of the 300 laps and then lost it with 17 laps to go with that bump and run. They were very cautiously optimistic after the final practice session, but they were back in July too. And then the track started to come up and they couldn't run the lane that they needed. So they couldn't go after the win. They were just trying to hang on. But the car is very good now. In fact, Robbie Loomis says right now Jeff isn't talking about any adjustments. His biggest concern is traffic, and a lot of it he will restart from the 19th position. Alan?
Okay, drivers. You're back on the racetrack that's been under wet conditions for an hour and 48 minutes as we look down on the track from our U.S. Army Skycam, an Army of 1.
I think the biggest concern, Jeff Burton talked about it, those guys that did not stop. Those tires have cooled. They were hot, they have cooled, and they're now ice cold. What kind of air pressures did they set them on? Going back, how much grip are they going to have in them? I think all those guys for the first 22 cars have got to be concerned about those tires.
I agree, and like I said earlier, BP, when I think, I'm not saying I'm right, but I think when you get a tire hot and you roll it through that water, in my mind it changes the compound, and then it cools, and then you go back out there with the same tire. So like you said, you really don't know what tire combination you have right now. Where I think the smart move was Jeff Burton coming in and putting 4 tires on.
Now that's what the drivers are thinking about. Let me tell you what the crew chiefs are thinking about. They're thinking, how many laps is this race going to be? This is Concord, New Hampshire, right there, sort of under where I made that big mess on the telestrator. We're in the clear right now, but as you can see,
it's on its way.
There's more on the way.
Well, yeah, I think you are running to halfway. Benny, don't you agree? I mean, right now you're just worried about getting halfway, not worried about running the whole race.
That's right, but that's still 125 laps. They've got to run, make a pit stop. If they're going to run on the green flag, they've got to run, make a pit stop, and then run some more. I mean, this race is not going to be over in the next hour. They've still got to go out there and run for at least an hour and a half to determine who's going to win this thing, even if they run halfway.
There's Dale Earnhardt Jr. deep in the field, Todd Bodine, the Discover Card Ford.
So I think what we're saying is, it's going to be slippery.
Yeah, it's slippery.
It's going to be slippery the first 10 or 15 laps for sure. Track is cold, tires are cold.
Drivers are cold?
Drivers are ready.
Ready? Okay. Just joining us, welcome to NASCAR on NBC, live from New Hampshire. Here's our Pepsi race recap. We'll show you what you missed.
Not much.
We saw Dave on a new Segway, trying not to fall off, and telling us about tricky turn 4 here in New Hampshire, section of the racetrack that caused so much controversy in July. Ryan Newman got the jump on the start after a 58-minute delay for rain. Opening laps, some fenders wrinkled. Jimmy Spencer gave the wall a scare. Michael Waltrip and Ricky Rudd, over which they had a discussion. Then it started raining again on pit road. They sat there for an hour and 48 minutes, after which time Ray Evernham's team revealed the contents of his notebook. We always thought it talked about tire pressures and things.
Silly us.
I'm telling you. Okay, pit road's open. And we should be just a couple of laps away from getting this thing back underway. Bill?
Yeah, they'll get the one to go this time by, Alan. Just wanted to point out to Wally and Benny that NASCAR allowed the teams to check and adjust the tape on the front of their car and also to adjust their air pressure. So maybe that'll help some of the guys in the front, but certainly not as much as the guys that stopped.
Yeah, that's a good point, Bill. You're right. That definitely helped. Letting them adjust the air pressure is definitely the right move.
Mike Skinner just gave up 10th spot, Benny.
We interviewed him during the rain. He talked about just how tight his race car was, and we see the crew back in the right rear making a huge adjustment. Looks like they're trying to hook up the rear sway bar, rear anti-roll bar, which will loosen the car up dramatically. That wasn't it.
Yeah, looks like that's what they were doing, Benny. I mean, it didn't look like they're putting a rubber in there. He had a wrench in there. So they hooked that rear bar up, which will help turn that car into center. Hopefully will help the car turn. He was pushing really bad. Actually, what was happening, he was going to the corner. The car was pushing so bad. Then the thing got really loose getting off the corner. So he really had his hands full. So good time to make that change.
Coming to the green. This is good. Now let's see how long we can race under the green. Joe Nemechek just leaving the pit road as the field comes back.
Joe may go a lap down here pretty quick.
Green, green, green.
All right, let's watch these cars down in turn one, see if they grip. Yes, so far so good.
Ooh, Tony Stewart.
Tony's been up against that wall a couple times today.
Did he catch it there?
I don't think he touched it, but earlier he got real close to that turn 2 wall as well.
Here's third place. That's Kurt Busch, 97 car, working on Bobby Labonte. Tony gave the wall a little breathing room that time. Bobby Labonte, the 2000 NASCAR Winston Cup champion, who's really struggled this season. Yeah, he's got to win. A lot of drivers don't have that to say for themselves this year. He won on the half mile in Martinsville, Virginia back in April. But since then, he's only got one top 10 finish.
We talked about what the crews are thinking, Alan. We talked about it. Are they thinking about a 150-lap race or a 300-lap race? We intercepted some conversation between Ricky Craven and his crew about that.
I really think about this pit strategy deal. Like I said, if we can go to lap 70 and then you stop and then we can run about 85 laps, that'll put us past the halfway. You know, just have to stop one time here. Okay, Temple, I'm sure that they're going to shorten this thing some too. I don't know. What do you think? Yeah, it's already 10 after 4, so we'll have to probably stop next time, okay?
Ricky Craven running fifth, talking to his crew chief, Mike Beam.
And they want a short pit. They want to stop. They don't want to go halfway to 75 and then run 75. They want to stop early, make some changes, try to get their car a little bit better and run 10 or 15 laps before their competition stops.
And that would also give them a clean pit, which is important.
Yes.
Come into pits, nobody's blocking you, so you get a good pit stop. Don't lose any time. How about Bill?
You're absolutely right. And something else here, while guys that are really sure their fuel mileage are going to benefit from here, because right now they're back timing this race from 150 back to when they can get in and get their fuel and get to that halfway point.
Yep, and a guy like Jeff Burton, who took 4 tires, he may be able to benefit. I'm sure a lot of guys are going to take 2, but he can certainly take 2 in gas on this next pit stop.
Yeah, thinking ahead, that might turn out to be the call of the race.
Yep. And we saw yesterday in practice, in that first practice, we feel the 97 car ran his car out of fuel just to see exactly how much fuel he could pick up.
Here's 11th place, Ken Schrader in the 36, Ricky Rudd in the 28. Kyle Petty just behind them in that 45 car.
You're talking about the fuel situation, which is going to be important today, I think. Yes, you need to know how many miles to the gallon you can run, but you also need to know how much gasoline you can pick up out of the gas tank. They all hold 22 gallons, but not everyone can use the entire 22 gallons.
Yeah, if you can get 21.8 out of there, the next guy can only get 21 out of his.
Huge advantage.
Yep.
Oh, Ricky was almost there. He's at that point that you go, don't you go.
Kind of looks like Schrader's holding some of these guys up here, you think?
Yeah, I mean, Ricky looks like he's getting through the center of the corner better for sure than Kenny is. Kenny seems to get in okay. Let's watch right here. Right at this point here, looks like the 28 gets through better. You see that left front picking up. We talked about that yesterday in happy hour. A lot of guys concentrating on trying to keep their left fronts down on the ground. Kenny's left front is not on the ground getting out the corner.
So Ricky Rudd is through into 11th spot. Now Kyle Petty's going to work on Schrader's left rear corner.
And when you see that car roll like that, that left front tire is not gripping the racetrack. So that's where these other cars that are keeping the left front down, they can turn underneath you and get underneath you.
Bill Elliott, Brickyard 400 winner, watching a little bit of that during the rain delay. If you were not aware, Elliott did go on to win that race, pretty much dominated all day.
And I was talking to Ray Evernham, the owner of this Bill Elliott Dodge this morning, the car we run along board with, and we're also checking the telemetry in this car. And that's what Ray was talking about, the left front. He said the team that can figure out how to make this left front work will be the team that can dominate. No one at this point is able to get it to do its job.
Yeah, because you see how flat the racetrack is here. And actually you see Bill's car is fairly flat through the corners here. But what you're trying to do is drive down that corner. All the forces want to roll the car over to the right side tires, so you lose that grip. So like Ray was saying, they try to pin that left front tire to get you through the corner.
And look at the range of RPMs on this track, on the tachometer.
A low of about 5,500 up to almost 9,000 RPMs.
Some of the big fast tracks, the engines don't go more than a few thousand RPM between them.
Like Atlanta, probably from 7,500 to 9,000. All right, Bill's got to run on Kyle. Kyle!
You can run a little bit deeper if you're on the outside than the guy on the inside.
Uh-oh, trouble. Mike Skinner. That's the 4 car. And that's not good.
And there's no caution flag.
I think they're going to fix that one.
That must be comforting to run through that cloud of smoke.
And not very. Because anytime you see smoke, you know that something caused that. Normally oil caused that, and oil on these slick tires, not a good combination.
Now, Ryan Newman looked like he was the first one to get there too, so you don't know there's oil until you're in it.
Question is Skinner going to make it back around, or will he bring out a caution flag?
Nah, he'll make it.
He's rolling pretty good, and he's taking the escape road over.
Took a shortcut there.
Yeah.
They don't want you to come in on the access road.
Well, he's doing that.
I'm on the access road, buddy.
There you go. There are the top 2. Ryan Newman in the 12, Johnny Benson in the 10. They've held those 2 spots from the beginning, even through all the rain delays. NASCAR on NBC, live from New England. And the New Hampshire International Speedway, where today's New Hampshire 300 is 48 laps old. All right, guys, here's our Little Debbie trivia question. Remember back to Jeff Gordon's first Winston Cup championship in 1995. Who lost the point lead to Jeff at this racetrack?
That would be. Let me hit along.
I know the answer, so okay. I can't.
Well, there it is.
There's a hint for you.
Sterling Marlin. How about that?
Hoping not to lose the championship lead to Jeff Gordon at New Hampshire in September of 2002.
I think Mark Martin right now, if we count the points, would be in front, and he would. Hey, look at that. Mark Martin would be 29 in front of Sterling Marlin.
A little bumper tag going on there?
Well, yeah.
Well, there's some contenders for this championship. Jimmy Johnson, Rusty Wallace, and the 24 of Jeff Gordon.
By the way, just update those positions. Mark Martin's running in 9th. Sterling